What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
12 LS. Chapter 276. Aokiji who breaks the defense instantly. Selena Gomez posts powerful bikini then and now. More. 413. 103. 138. After being enlightened by Violet, Rebecca finally stopped crying, and then learned to cook with Blue Bonnie, as if she would never give up. Seeing this scene, Robin and the others knew that it was hopeless to eat in a short time, so they all turned around and left here, let the two of them make a fuss by themselves. At this time, Moran returned to the open air of King's Heights. Instead of waiting dryly below for dinner, he might as well come up to the salted fish to bask in the sun. Seeing Moran coming back, Uchiha Itachi asked in bewilderment, "Master Moran, didn't you go to eat? Why are you back?" Moran came to his beloved recliner, lay down directly, and then replied helplessly, "There is a little devil in the kitchen, we probably have to be hungry for a while before we can eat. Just come back and wait slowly." Uchiha Itachi did not continue to dwell on this problem, but handed the phone bug to Moran and said, "Master Moran, I have already contacted Marine just now, and the owner of this phone bug is also in Marineford, and he has already gone to Marshal Marine now, it should not be long Marshal Marine will call." After Moran took the phone bug to 400, he waved to Uchiha Itachi and said, "There's nothing else going on here, go and get busy with your business." Uchiha Itachi. "Then I'll go back to the port to watch the ship first, just call me if you need anything, and I'll take care of everything for you as soon as possible." Moran. "Okay, you go." Before Uchiha Itachi took 2 steps, Moran said again suddenly, "By the way, Itachi, when you go to the port, call me back that guy Luo, I have something to look for him, he is now in a medical center in the town below." Quote. "I see." Uchiha Itachi responded, walked to the edge of the high ground, and jumped directly. The height of Wang Ji's high ground is simply a piece of cake for him. Uchiha Itachi's feet were like magnets touching iron, tightly attached to the wall, and walked down step by step like stepping on the ground. After Moran saw that Uchiha Itachi had also left here, he closed his eyes and basked in the sun leisurely. The big salted fish is the biggest. Now only Moran is left on the King's Heights, and a comatose Virgo finally ushered in CBFJ, long lost peace. Boo, 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 boo. I don't know how long it has passed, there was a call of phone bugs on Wangji Heights, breaking the rare tranquility. Moran basked in the sun on the high ground. Because he was so comfortable in the sun, he almost fell asleep in a daze, but he woke up instantly when he heard the call of the phone bug. Moran took the phone bug with squinted eyes, and directly connected to the phone bug. The bug complained in a very unhappy tone, "Marshal mentally handicapped, you interrupted my lunch break, do you know that?" However, the voice coming from the phone bug is not from Sengoku, but Aokiji's voice said, "Dragon Emperor Moran, I am Aokiji, not Marshal Sengoku, so stop talking nonsense, you still talk about what you can do with our marine bar." Moran became even more upset when he heard Aokiji's tone, so he asked in a gloomy tone, "Let's not talk about Aokiji's other things first, let's talk about the things that interrupted my lunch break, because you interrupted my lunch break, now my mental state is very bad, how will you Marine plan to compensate me for my mental damage?" Moran held the phone bug in his hand, his face darkened at a speed visible to the naked eye, and Aokiji's gloomy voice said, "Dragon King Moran, if you are trying so hard to find me just to talk about these useless things, then I think there is no need for us to continue talking, you should talk to someone else." Moran listened to Aokiji's very tough words, and secretly sighed in his heart. This person who will soon be a marshal is different, and now he is so tough when talking to him. When Moran thought of how far Aokiji used to see him, how far he would go, but now he dared to talk to him like this, it was really a 3-day farewell, you should look at him with admiration. But Moran was not used to him, seeing that he was unwilling to pay for mental damage, he directly threatened, "Since you don't want to talk about this, Aokiji, let's talk about other things, first think you Marine there are a lot of branches in New World, I'm afraid you can't manage them, so in the future, the branch of New World Marine, let me help you manage it." Then Moran seemed to think of something again, and added, "Oh right. You don't need to thank me, these are what I should do." Aokiji on the opposite side of the phone bug was silent for a long time, during which he could only hear the sound of heavy panting, obviously he was very angry, he must be adjusting his mentality. After Aokiji adjusted his mentality, he said helplessly, "Just tell me what you want." He really can't do anything about Moran, every time he faces this guy, he feels a sense of powerlessness, not only shameless but also frankly capable of doing anything. If he doesn't agree to pay for mental damages, Moran might go and take over the Marine branch. Moran showed a tricky expression on his face, and then said directly, "Because you interrupted my lunch break, I am a little mentally disturbed now, so just pay me a few devil fruits to replenish my brain." Aokiji was still too young to fight him, Moran defeated him directly with 3 words, and he was still convinced. When Aokiji heard Moran's request, he directly broke the defense, and yelled at the phone bug, "Why don't you *CK grab it?" Moran still had a shameless look, and said slowly, "It's faster to snatch it, but it's a lie. No, it's faster to cooperate with your Marine, not only faster than snatching, but also more than snatching." When Aokiji heard Moran's slip of the tongue and almost said that they were Marine, he immediately became more angry, but he had no choice but to say clearly, "Our Marine doesn't have that many devil fruits at all, and now there are only so many devil fruits in Marine's inventory." There is only one left, you can do whatever you like or not. Moran secretly scolded Marine as a poor ghost, but said with a smile on his mouth, why don't you want it? No matter how small a mosquito is, it's still meat. This is almost a devil fruit picked for nothing, how could Moran be polite to their Marines, don't want it for nothing. And he accepted it as soon as he saw it. After all, we will talk about other things later. Now this is just an appetizer, and we can't lose the big because of the small. Chapter 277. Aokiji with regrets. Moran glanced at Virgo lying unconscious on the ground, and didn't answer right away, but instead asked, what I want to say is very important to you Marines, can you be the master? Aokiji said directly. Now I'm in charge of Marine, there's nothing I can't decide, if you have anything to say, just say it. Moran thought to himself. Has Sengoku started to make this guy ready to be the Marine Marshal in advance? No wonder it was Aokiji who called from Aokiji instead of the old silver coin from Sengoku. It turned out that he let Aokiji know how to be a Marine Marshal in advance. Thinking of this, Moran didn't continue to play tricks, but said directly, I have the news that a pirate sent you Marine to be an undercover agent, and the position is not low. Basically, he will attend your important meetings. You can participate. What did you say? Aokiji thought he had a problem with his ears and misheard, so he asked with a face full of disbelief. Moran said again. Your Marine executives have undercover agents tricked by pirates, did you hear clearly this time? Aokiji finally heard Moran's words clearly this time, and asked with a gloomy face, who are you talking about undercover? There are undercover agents sent by pirates in the Marine, and they are also high-level Marines. If there is such a thing, it is a big deal. If this undercover agent is not found out, their Marine will have no secrets about this pirate force sent here. Aokiji didn't think Moran would use this kind of thing to lie to him, after all, the truth of this kind of thing can be known as soon as one checks, so Moran has no reason to waste time to lie to him. Moran didn't tell him who it was right away, if he told Aokiji directly, what else would he use to blackmail Marine? So Moran said meaningfully, oh, I tend to forget things when my brain is poor. You see, I accidentally forgot who the undercover agent is. If I have a sum of money, maybe I can think about it. Who is it now? Aokiji's face darkened when he heard this, he knew it was not that simple, it turned out that this unprofitable guy was waiting for him here. Aokiji said with a dark face. Just tell me how much you want, don't beat around the bush, there is no need for that. Moran smiled instantly and said. You can do as much as you want, don't go back on your word. Aokiji's face is as black as the bottom of a pot, you can take as much as you want, when did I say that? This guy is as shameless as ever. Aokiji scolded Moran from the beginning to the end in his heart, and after feeling a little better, he said. Don't play word games with me, how much do you want? If our Marine can afford it, we can discuss it. If the lion speaks loudly, it will not be because we Marine will find out the undercover agent by ourselves. Aokiji really thought so. If Moran opened his mouth, Marine would give up cooperating with Moran and waste a little time to find out the undercover. He didn't even think about whether he could find it, as long as they Marine really wanted to find it, he would definitely find it, it's just a matter of time. Moran also felt that it was almost done, so he didn't provoke him, and said directly, how about I tell you who was the undercover agent of 50 billion Bailey? When Aokiji heard that Moran wanted 50 billion, he cursed with black lines all over his face. A piece of information is 50 billion Bailey, why don't you just grab it? Moran touched his nose in embarrassment. This price is indeed a bit outrageous, but he has suffered losses from Marine, so when asked him to quote as high as he can, he will quote as high as he can. If not, he will slowly lower the price. Anyway, he is not at a disadvantage, and what if Marine really agrees? Moran saw that Aokiji did not agree to give 50 billion Baileys, so he lowered it a bit and said, if 50 billion Baileys is not enough, how about 40 billion Baileys? I will drop 10 billion Baileys for you, don't you know good from bad? Aokiji got angry when he heard this, and cursed in his heart. Do I have to thank you for the FK? Although Aokiji was P***** D off, this matter still needs to be resolved, so he directly said, our Marine only pays 10 billion Baileys. If you disagree, our Marine will find it by ourselves. Agreed. 10 billion deal. As soon as Aokiji finished speaking, Moran couldn't wait to agree, as if he wasn't the one who said those words just now, and immediately agreed to a 10 billion deal. Moran directly set the price so high, and Aokiji habitually cut it down to 10 billion. When he first heard Moran agreeing, he felt complacent and felt that Moran was nothing more than that. But after realizing it, he regretted it a bit. No matter how important a piece of information is, it cannot be worth 10 billion Baileys. He was directly led astray by Moran. Aokiji's intestines are full of regrets now, but what he said can't be taken back, so he can only smash his teeth and swallow it in his stomach, let's take it as a lesson. But Moran's side is different from Aokiji with dark face, on the contrary, Moran's heart is full of joy at this time, and his face is also full of complacency. He originally thought it would be a good idea to sell this information for billions, but he didn't expect Aokiji to jump into the hole he dug for 205. Thinking of this, Moran said with a smile, Aokiji, let's make an agreement, after you Marine give me Bailey, I will tell you who is the undercover agent. The matter has come to this point, and Aokiji has no way to change it, so he asked weakly, shall I send someone to send Bailey to you, or should you pick it up yourself? Moran replied, I am now in the territory of de Reis Rosa da Flamingo, you can send someone directly to me here. Xing 0.8 Pheasant heard that Moran was in de Rosa, and thought of the undercover matter, and asked tentatively, "Is the undercover you mentioned sent by Doflamingo?" When Moran heard Aokiji's probing, he knew that he had already guessed that Doflamingo sent someone to Marine as an undercover agent, but he must not have guessed who the undercover agent was, and the price had already been negotiated, so he was not afraid of Aokiji's cheating. So Moran also generously admitted, "That's right, they are the people from Doflamingo's faction. Stop talking so much nonsense and send me the money quickly. Even if you guess it, so what? Don't you still have to give me the money?" Quote. Aokiji thought about it and knew that there was no need to guess. Anyway, the price has been negotiated now, and he also agreed to the deal. It is too late to regret it now. Chapter 278. Sengoku and Garp like a child. Moran also knew that Aokiji didn't dare to go back on his word, so he generously admitted that Doflamingo sent someone there. Even if he guessed who was undercover, he still had to hand over the money in a weird way. Because they Marine didn't dare to repent, if they dared to repent, the price they paid would definitely be much more than 10 billion. Aokiji also understands this truth, so he didn't think about regretting it at all, and he just asked that out of curiosity. After Aokiji knew that it was Doflamingo's undercover agent, he didn't pursue the matter, but said, "I will send someone to send Bailey to you as soon as possible. If there is nothing else, I will hang up." Aokiji didn't ask about Akainu until he was about to hang up the phone, because even if he asked Moran, he wouldn't necessarily admit it, and even if Saolan did admit it, he would have nothing to do with Moran. So he simply pretended that there was no such thing, and he and Akainu had never dealt with each other. If he was asked to save Akainu, he would definitely go, but if he was asked to avenge Akainu, let's talk about it in the next life. There is no time in this life. Before Aokiji hung up the phone, Moran asked again, "Send me a stronger Marine to deliver it, or I don't care if I get robbed halfway." Ka sauce. Aokiji didn't reply to Moran's words, but hung up the phone directly, then stood up and walked to Sengoku's office. He is still working in his Admiral office, but the documents that were sent to Sengoku have recently been sent to him. Except that he is not yet a marshal and does not work in the marshal's office, his rights are no different from the Marine marshal. The Marine generals who have a good relationship with him even call him marshal jokingly, but only in private, and they dare not call him indiscriminately in public. After all, Marshal Marine is now Sengoku instead of Aokiji. B********** D Garp. You stole my donut again. I just ate a little bit, why are you so stingy? You are almost finished eating, do you want to eat a little? As soon as Aokiji walked to the door of the office, he heard Garp and Sengoku fighting for donuts like children. Now that Sengoku has given up the work of marshal to Aokiji, he is now quarreling with Garp all day when he is free. The quarrel is the friendship between the two of them, and the friendship between the two of them when they were young is just like this. Aokiji walked into the office slowly, saw Garp and Sengoku squatting on the ground fighting, immediately covered his face with one hand speechlessly. This scene is simply embarrassing. Seeing Aokiji walk in, Sengoku let go of Garp, stood up and asked nonchalantly, "Aokiji, why are you here with me if you don't deal with the documents?" Aokiji replied, "It's about the Dragon King Moran, and about Doflamingo, and about our Marine having a pirate undercover." Sengoku's expression was normal when he heard the two in front, but his face darkened when he heard about the undercover agent behind him, and asked, "Are you sure we Marine have an undercover agent sent by pirates?" Garp was not joking at this time, but looked at Aokiji with a serious face like Sengoku, waiting for his next words. Blah 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 blah. Aokiji didn't hide these things either, and directly disclosed all the deals he made with Moran, not even missing information about the 10 billion Bailey purchase. Although Aokiji was a little embarrassed when he said that 10 billion Bailey bought information, he still said it. After hearing what Aokiji said, Sengoku fell into silence, and guessed after a long time. According to what you said, that kid Moran is now in de Rosa, and he knows that he is an undercover agent sent by Doflamingo. Doflamingo at that time was either caught or killed. Crack, crack. Garp ate the donuts bite by bite, and the sound of click and click attracted the attention of others, and he asked with a puzzled expression, "Why are you all looking at me?" Sengoku looked at Garp who was still eating donuts, and shouted with black lines all over his face, D Garp, get out. Just get out, what's the big deal? Garp obediently walked out after a few words. After Garp walked out of the office, Sengoku looked at Aokiji, and said with a speechless face, "You can handle these things yourself, but next time you deal with that D Moran, put your mind to it otherwise, you may be sold by him and you have to count the money for him." Aokiji was relieved when he heard that Sengoku didn't mean to blame him. He had just worked as a marshal for a few days, and such a big problem happened. He secretly made up his mind that such a thing would never happen again. Aokiji remembered Doflamingo's identity, looked at Sengoku and asked, "Sengoku Marshal Doflamingo, how should we deal with it?" Sengoku still looked like he had nothing to do with himself, and said with a high-hanging look, "I have said that you can handle these things yourself. If you ask me about everything, if I am no longer here in the future, how will you handle it?" Sengoku doesn't want to cultivate a copy of himself, what he wants to cultivate is a marshal with his own thoughts, not a general who only knows how to do things like him. Thinking of Sengoku here, he immediately rushed to the people. "If there is nothing else, you can go back and deal with the documents." Although Aokiji was still full of questions, he also understood Sengoku's good intentions, so he didn't continue to ask, but said goodbye. Marshal Sengoku, I have nothing else to do, so I'll go back first. Sengoku waved his hand and said, yeah, let's go back. Aokiji walked out of the office with question marks in his head. He, Wang's Zhou, came here to listen to Sengoku's opinion, and then decide how to deal with this matter. Now that the good problem has not been solved, he has more questions now than when he went, and there is an extra trouble for Doflamingo. That guy's celestial dragon's identity is too sensitive. It's okay if he dies directly, but if he is caught by Moran, then they will be the Marines who will be in trouble then. Garp, who was squatting at the door of the office, saw Aokiji coming out, and said with a rare serious face, Aokiji, let go and do it. The sky is falling, and we old bones are still holding it up. Aokiji. I got it. Aokiji stood there in a daze, watching Garp, who walked into the office, and didn't come back to his senses until Garp disappeared in front of his eyes. Aokiji, who came back to his senses, regained his previous self-confidence, and walked towards his office with his head held high. Chapter 279. Kaido of the Beasts, drunk and crying. Interesting for you. Selena Gomez posts powerful bikini then and now. More. 635. 159. 212. After Moran hung up the phone, he laid down leisurely and basked in the sun. Now that Tornado is no longer lying on his body, he always feels that something is missing, and he is really not used to it. The first hour when Tornado is away, I miss her. Da 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 da. Moran was thinking about messy things, and time passed by. Just as he was lying in a daze and was about to fall asleep, a burst of footsteps slowly approached him. Moran opened his eyes in a daze, and after discovering Trafalgar Law, he directly ordered him. Law, take out his heart, and then you keep it for yourself, so don't lose it to me. Trafalgar Law. I know. Trafalgar Law walked up to Virgo's side in a few steps, stretched out his left hand with the palm facing down, and a transparent circle appeared on his upper chest and circled around. Room. The transparent circle got bigger and bigger until it covered both of them and stopped, and then Trafalgar Law squatted down, and quickly inserted his arm into Virgo's chest. Scalpel. When Trafalgar Law retracted his arm, a beating heart appeared in his hand, as if the heart was contained in a cube. Moran looked at the completely taken out heart from the side, secretly feeling the magic of devil fruit in this world. It really has all sorts of strange abilities. After Trafalgar Law took out the heart, he looked at Moran and asked, is there anything else to do, Captain? If not, I'll go to the town to read medical books. Moran waved his hand and said, it's all right here, you can go about your business. It's the captain. Trafalgar Law came and went quickly, and he ran to read his medical books before staying on the King's Heights for a while. Moran was the only one left on the high ground, and the bored Moran began to miss his pillow Tornado. Thinking about it, Moran went to play chess with Duke Zhou. The island of the ghosts of Wano-kuni. Gurgle gurgle gurgle. Kaido of the Beasts was sitting in a cave, holding a huge wine gourd in his hand, and blowing to his mouth, gulu gulu, the wine of more than 10 wine gourds will bottom out. Boom. After Kaido of the Beasts drank the wine in the wine gourd, he threw the empty wine gourd on the ground in front of him, and then shouted to the outside of the cave. Get out of here, lousy. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. The two pirates trotted in tremblingly. After entering, they didn't dare to raise their heads. They lowered their heads and asked tremblingly, Boss Kaido, what can you do with us? Kaido bent down, stared at the lantern-like eyes, leaned in front of the two pirates, and shouted angrily, didn't you see that lousy's drink is finished? Hurry up and get lousy's drink. The pirate replied fearfully, yes, yes. We'll get the wine right away. Guy, wait a moment. Immediately afterwards, the two pirates ran out of the cave, scrambling and crawling, and when they came outside, they still had lingering fears. Kaido is notoriously moody. Yesterday two pirates got close to Kaido when he was drunk and got killed. Pirate 1. Let's take advantage of Boss Kaido's sobriety and run a few more times to bring as much wine as possible, otherwise we might be like those two guys last night. Get killed by the drunk Kaido boss. Pirate 2. What you said makes sense, then let's move the wine quickly. If we don't hurry up, the big ones may get drunk at any time. Pirate 1. Let's go, let's stop talking nonsense. Next, the two pirates continued to carry wine into the cave for their own lives, and Kaido would not refuse anyone who came. He could drink as much as the pirates carried, his stomach seemed like a bottomless pit. Whoa whoa whoa, bang, bang, bang. Kaido burst into tears while drinking, throwing wine jars all over the place, tears falling down. I don't know what happened to him, but in fact it's just drunk. The way Kaido was wailing scared the two pirates carrying the wine and ran away from the cave, because they knew that Kaido would die if he approached when he was crazy. Asking for flowers. Wow woo woo woo. Kaido wailed and cursed, that be asterisk 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 d Uchiha Madara dared to hammer Lousy into the sea. Sooner or later, Lousy will kill you. Whoa whoa whoa. When the two pirates outside heard the commotion inside, they couldn't help but run a little further. Both of them have a strong desire to survive. Da 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 da. At this time, a sound of footsteps caught the eyes of the two pirates. Both of them looked in the direction of the sound of footsteps, and when they saw the person coming, they went up to them. Pirate 1 walked up to the visitor and asked respectfully, Master Jin, what are you doing here? Oh. It turned out that the person who came over was Flame Calamity, Jin, one of the 3 major billboards of Beast's pirates. He can be said to be the second character of One Piece of Beasts, second only to Kaido of the Beasts in strength. Jin was wearing a mask that covered his entire face, so he couldn't see his expression. With a pair of lantern-like eyes, he looked at the two pirates and asked, "What's the situation with Boss Kaido now?" Pirate 1. Boss Kaido was drunk again just now, and now he is in the cave, we dare not approach the cave. Jin walked past the two pirates directly, and he also knew that these people didn't dare to get close to the drunk Boss Kaido, so he didn't let the two lead the way, and walked slowly towards the cave by himself. Wow woo 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 woo. Uchiha Madara that B ********* D. Let me meet next time and see if I don't blow your tortoise shell. Jin had just approached the cave when he heard the sound of Kaido cursing and crying inside, although he was used to it, it still made him feel speechless for a while. He is the boss who is good at everything, he needs to have tricks, and he needs strength, but he has two bad problems. That is the love of drinking and drunkenness, and the habit of committing suicide. If these two bad habits can be changed, the current Beasts pirates should be able to improve to a higher level. Chapter 280. Ant and Kaido talk on the phone. Interesting for you. Selena Gomez posts powerful bikini then and now. More. 392. 98. 131. While complaining about Kaido's stink in his heart, Jin slowly walked into the cave. The closer he got to the cave, the stronger the smell of alcohol became, it was simply reeking of alcohol. Although Jin likes to complain about Kaido in his heart, no matter how bad he is, Kaido is still his boss, so if he can't get rid of them, he can only bear with it. Whoa whoa whoa. Uchiha Madara that B ******** D. B ******* D. Jin walked through a few bends in the cave, and finally a vast space appeared, in which Kaido was sitting on the ground, crying and cursing, drunk and frantic, working hard. Jin walked directly in front of Kaido, looked at Kaido who was sitting on the ground, and said, "Boss Kaido, the ant of the BIGMOM pirates called just now, and she asked to call you, saying that she has something important to talk to you about." When Kaido heard the ant of the BIGMOM pirates, he was half sober in an instant, and then he yelled angrily, "That old woman has the nerve to come to Lousy, and she didn't fart when I went to help her fight the Wanjian pirates last time." With just one, Lousy's pirate group suffered heavy losses, and now she dares to come to Lousy. 21. Then he said, "Lousy has never suffered such a loss, it's all caused by that dead old woman, Lousy hasn't even gone to her to settle the score." Whoa, 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 old woman. Kaido was still swearing just now, and then he was crying and drinking mad, just like the weather in June can change. Jin stood not far away and watched what Kaido was doing. If he wasn't wearing a mask, he should be able to see his speechless face. Jin saw that Kaido was still crying endlessly, so he could only interrupt. "Boss Kaido, do you want to call her? If not, I will refuse her. If you want to talk on the phone, please stop making trouble, okay?" Quote. Boom. Kaido threw the unfinished wine jar on the ground, and immediately put away the tears like a faucet, and then stood up and said, "Call that old woman, Lousy wants to see what the old woman wants Lousy to do." What? Then he added angrily, "If there is nothing to disturb Lousy's drinking, Lousy will go to Wangguo to kill that old woman at night." Jin. "I'll call her right away." Jin was also relieved to see that Kaido finally returned to normal and no longer drunk. Although he was not afraid of Kaido going drunk, he couldn't communicate. Jin took out a phone bug that looked very similar to the ant from his arms, and immediately dialed it without saying a word. He has to deal with this matter while Kaido is sober, otherwise he will be drunk later and have no place to cry. After all, it is not always possible to wake Kaido up. Boo boo, boo boo. The phone bug in Jin's hand had been ringing for a while, but it didn't connect right away, as if the person on the opposite side was no longer around the phone bug. Boo boo, boo boo. Caw sauce. Well, well well. The phone bug rang for a long time before being connected, and then the phone bug rang out the unique laughter of the ant. The ant screamed for a while before saying, "Kaido, do you want to seek revenge from the Wanjian pirates? If you want to, we can continue talking. If you don't, we have nothing to talk about. Mama." When Kaido heard the anger in the eyes of the Wanjian pirates, he gritted his teeth and cursed. Lousy even dreamed of going to the Wanjian pirates to humiliate them, so you have to say something quickly. Let it go. Well, well, the ant knew that this cooperation was stable when she heard this, so she didn't try to be a joke, but said directly, "Ace Day and Uchiha Madara, the two strong men of the Wanjian pirates, are not in the Dragon King at this time. Beside that kid, but went to sea alone and didn't know what to do. You said it's better for us to move those two who went to sea, or to kill that kid Dragon Emperor." Big Mom received the news today that the Wanjian pirates, the two strong men who fought against her and Kaido last time went to sea alone, and she wanted to take revenge. Although the rest of the Wanjian pirates are still there, she feels that the remaining people are not to be feared. After all, in her eyes, the Wanjian pirates are not the two who went to sea, only Moran and Long. Wan was able to compete with them, and when the rest of them fought against her sons, they were only a little stronger than her sons, and she didn't pay much attention to these people. However, what the ant doesn't know is that the rest of the Wanjian pirates are throwing water when they fight with her sons. The purpose is just to play for a while, so if she really goes to Moran, there is only one result, that is the result of tragedy. Kaido heard that Uchiha Madara was released alone, his eyes became brighter and brighter, he almost didn't even think about it, and said directly, "I'm going to settle accounts with Uchiha Madara, that B ********** D finally gave me a chance." The last time Kaido lost to Uchiha Madara, he was still unconvinced. He felt that he couldn't show his full strength in the sea, which led to the loss to Uchiha Madara, so he always wanted to find Uchiha Madara to fight again with dignity. Ant heard that Kaido was going to trouble Uchiha Madara, although she expected it, but she didn't want to trouble Uchiha Madara, but 273 wanted to trouble Moran, because her enemy was Moran, not Uchiha Madara. Thinking of this, the ant did not immediately refuse, but analyzed. Uchiha Madara's whereabouts are uncertain in the sea, we have no way to find him in a short time, so it's better not to waste time to go to him, or let the Wanjian pirates if we react, we will have no chance in the future. Kaido, however, saw through her little trick at a glance, and would not fall for her tricks at all, and directly retorted. The Wanjian pirates now only have 2 strong men who are no longer there, and everyone else is still with that boy Dragon King. If you go to trouble with them, are you sure we won't run back like last time? The ant directly retorted when she heard this. Now the Wanjian pirates only have 2 top powerhouses, the Dragon King and the Tornado, and the 2 of us can hold them back, and the rest will be handed over to the subordinates. Just deal with it, and Uchiha Madara doesn't know where he is now, where can we find him? Bet. BB. The 2 men said that the public is right, and the mother-in-law said that the woman is right, and they refused to give in to each other. After a long time of quarreling, neither could convince the other. Both of them wanted to seek revenge from their enemies, so the quarrel for a long time did not come to any conclusion. Chapter 281. Ant and Kaido collaborate again. Interesting for you. Selena Gomez posts powerful bikini then and now. More. 463. 116. 154. Kaido and Auntie seemed to be tired from the quarrel, and they fell silent almost at the same time, falling into a strange silence, and neither of them spoke for 2 days. The sons and daughters standing on the side of the ant, and Jin on Kaido's side, the subordinates on both sides dare not speak or interrupt. Kaido and Auntie are notoriously capricious, they are fine now, maybe they will go crazy in a second, so although they are anxious, they can only stand aside and worry, and there is nothing they can do. Kaido is also rare to be quiet. Anyway, it is not he who is anxious but the ant, because of the 2 pirates. If you want to say who has the greater hatred with the Wanjian pirates, it must be the Bigmom pirates. The Wanjian pirates almost sent the entire Bigmom pirates into Impel down, although Big Mom escaped by luck. But all the powerful sons and daughters under her command were sent to Impel down, and now the ant has almost become a polished commander. The ant really knew that she couldn't consume Kaido, but she didn't want to give up, so she almost tried all kinds of ways just now, but she couldn't think of a way to make Kaido and her go to trouble Moran. The ant who really couldn't think of a way could only break the tranquility of 663 first and said, Kaido, what do you want to do so that I will go to trouble with that boy Dragon Emperor? Ant really can't think of a way, but she doesn't want to give up this opportunity, so she can only use benefits to get Kaido to go with her. She's ready to bleed, but as long as Kaido is willing to go to Moran's trouble with her, then why be jealous? Ha 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 hiccup. Kaido laughed smugly, and then said, isn't Linlin saying that so much shit? You want to play tricks with Lousy, are you looking for the wrong person? The ant was already unhappy because the negotiation fell into a disadvantage, and now she was ridiculed by Kaido, and she immediately yelled angrily, Kaido, don't get cheap and act good, I hope you don't have a time to ask my old lady, otherwise my old lady let you pay back 10 times. Ha 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 hiccup. Kaido laughed proudly and said, Linlin, you will never have that chance, even if Lousy dies, he won't owe you any favors, so you should give up your heart. When he was young, it was because CBEG owed his aunt's favor, so in the decades of confrontation with his aunt, no matter whether it was cooperation or various frictions, he had always been at a disadvantage. He didn't want to try that kind of aggrieved life. The last time Big Mom asked him to fight the Wanjian pirates, she just used this favor in exchange for him to make a full shot, otherwise, how could Kaido bring all of his wealth with him? Now even if it is a matter of life and death, he will never owe Ant any more favors, because Ant is so disgusting that a favor is held in his hands for decades and he won't use it. Every time there is friction or cooperation with Kaido, the Ant will talk about this big favor, he is really disgusted by the Ant. When Kaido thought about the days when he owed his Ant favors, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he said directly to the phone bug, it's not impossible for Linlin to let Lousy go with you to find trouble with that boy, the Dragon Emperor, but you have to be a grown-up like Lousy. How's the situation? In fact, after reaching their level, money is not so important to them, but the favor of a strong person is more helpful to them. Moreover, Kaido also wants Auntie to feel the feeling of being manipulated by others. He wants to return all the grievances of the past few decades to Auntie. Ha 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 hiccup. Kaido suddenly burst out laughing after thinking about it, those who didn't know thought he was a fool. Auntie looked at the phone bug in front of her and laughed unscrupulously. She could think of how proud Kaido was at this time, but she had no choice but to compromise. Opponent. Thinking of this, the ant said directly, I can owe you a favor, but you must bring all 3 major disasters with you. Without them going together, we will not be able to take down the Wanjian pirates at all. Kaido hesitated when he heard this, they usually leave a housekeeper, he has never taken out all 3 disasters at once, after all his territory Wano-kuni is not peaceful. Kazuki Oden's former subordinates have been making trouble. Although they are all sorted out by him, there are still several people who have not been found. If all the high-end combat powers are gone, he is really worried. However, when Kaido thought of the ant's favor, he still bit and agreed. Lousy can take them all, but you must also have people under your command. It is best to go with them all. The ant agreed without thinking about it. I can take the entire pirate group, and even the pirate group under it, so I am more active than you in dealing with the Wanjian pirate group, so you don't need to worry about me. The problem of not being able to work hard. Blah blah, blah blah. Ka sauce. The two discussed where to meet again, as well as the current location of the Wanjian pirates, and hung up after explaining everything clearly. Seeing that Kaido finally hung up the phone, Jin walked over and asked, Boss Kaido, if we really all go out, Wano-kuni's group will probably not stop. Don't you worry about problems here. Gulu. Gulu. Kaido picked up a wine jar and took a sip, then glanced at Jin and replied, as long as we are still alive, these mice hiding in the dark will not be able to make any waves. At worst, when we come back let's clean up. Ha 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 hiccup. The more Kaido talked, the more excited he became, and his eyes became brighter, followed by a burst of unscrupulous laughter. Although it is a bit risky to take them all away, as long as he is still there, Kazuki Oden's former subordinates will not be able to make a fuss. Kaido, who finally stopped laughing after laughing for a while, looked at Jin and ordered directly, you heard what Jin said just now, so I won't say it a second time, you go and gather all the beasts immediately, and after you are done, we'll be leaving right away. Jin. I know. Jin responded and walked out of the cave, he didn't dare to delay at such a time. Call out. The Jin who came out directly soared into the sky, flapped his wings and leapt in the sky, galloping towards the port. Chapter 282. Moran learns that Kaido is working with Big Mom. Interesting for you. Selena Gomez posts powerful bikini then and now. More. 334. 84. 111. The heights of King Reese Rosa the next day. Moran was lying leisurely in the sun on the high ground of the king. Tornado said angrily yesterday that he would never talk to him again, but at this moment, he was crawling into his arms like a kitten, saying no. The medicine substitute is very honest. Moran looked at the tornado with a smile and joked, hey, hey. Who said it yesterday? If you ignore me, she belongs to a puppy. Hearing this, Long Wan shook his head, looked left and right, and found no one around, so he buried his head in Moran's arms. Wang Lin. Immediately afterwards, there was a sound of barking like a dog in Moran's arms, which instantly made Moran's skin tender. Who did this little girl learn this shameless energy from? 710. Moran, who came back to his senses, asked with black lines all over his face, who did you learn your shamelessness, Dragon Wan? Where did all your arrogance go? On the surface, Long Wan didn't say a word, but he secretly complained in his heart. You are the most shameless on the Wanjian pirates, who did I learn from, and you don't have any coins in your heart. Moran saw that the tornado didn't respond to him, so he didn't talk, hugged his pillow tornado, and basked in the sun leisurely on the high ground. In the past few days, Monet collected Doflamingo's wealth from all over the world, and then sent it to Reese Rosa little by little, and handed it over to Moran. These days, Moran has been counting the money until his hands cramp. Seeing boxes full of Baileys being delivered one by one, Moran is very happy. There were only Moran and Tornado on the King's Highland at this time, and now neither of them spoke, and the Highland fell into silence. Balulu. I don't know how long it has passed. Moran heard the call of the phone bug, slowly opened his eyes and glanced at the table next to him, and found that it was placed on the table yesterday, and the Birdman's phone bug rang. Morgans asked News Bird to send the phone bug yesterday, and Moran thought he would contact him immediately, but he didn't expect to call until now. Although I don't know why he asked me to cooperate, but he didn't call until now, he really can hold his breath. While Moran was thinking about this, he raised one hand and waved towards the table, and the phone bug on the table slowly flew towards him. Tornado's superpower is not only powerful in combat, but also very convenient in daily life, especially for a salty fish like Moran who doesn't like to move, he simply loves this superpower. Ka sauce. The phone bug flew over slowly and landed in Moran's hand, and then Moran directly connected to the phone bug and asked, Mossy. Birdman. Ah no, Morgans, did you find me? What? Moran has always called him a birdman in his heart, and he blurted out just now, touching his nose in embarrassment. Although he is not afraid of Morgans, a birdman, it seems a bit impolite to call him that on the phone for the first time. Morgans was not angry when he heard Moran calling him a birdman, but said directly, Dragon Emperor Moran, I want to make a deal with you. I wonder if you are interested. Moran. Let's talk about it first. Morgans didn't talk nonsense and went straight to the point. Our news agency was originally on Whitebeard's territory, but now most of them are on your Wanjian pirates' territory, so I want to make a deal with you. Our news agency society will not pay protection fees, but we can provide you with information. What do you think? Morgans has many news agencies in New World, most of which are distributed on Whitebeard's site, but now half of Whitebeard's site falls into Moran's hands, and their news agency happens to be on that half of the site, so I want to talk to Saulan to see if it is possible to avoid paying protection fees. Even if you can't, you can get to know him in advance. After all, his news agency is on Moran's territory, and we will inevitably have to deal with him in the future. When Moran heard this, he also understood what Morgans meant. This guy wanted to use information to offset the huge protection fee. After all, this guy's news agency is so big, and it's not on the same island. The news agency they set up on these islands, just like some countries on the island, needs to be responsible for the protection fees on the island, so he needs to pay the protection fee should be quite a fortune. Moran, who wanted to understand this, directly refused, I don't need your information. If you want to continue to open your news agency on my site, you have to obediently pay me protection fees, or else you don't need others to do it. I immediately destroy you. Morgans fell silent when he heard Moran's answer. He didn't expect Moran to be so difficult to speak, he just touched the tiger PG. In the final analysis, it was because Morgans didn't know Moran, and he was talking about money with a guy who was addicted to money, and the money was supposed to be in his hands, and he suddenly said that he would not give it to him. It's strange that Moran gave him a good face. Seeing that Moran not only did not agree to his deal, Morgan seemed to have offended Moran, so he could only remedy it by saying, since you don't like this deal, Mr. Dragon King, then we will follow the original method of paying protection fees. Our news agency you must pay the protection fee on time, you can rest assured. Then he said, in order to make up for my offense to you today, let me tell you something about you. Moran. What information? Morgans. Kaido and Big Mom have reached a cooperation and are leading the Beasts Pirates and BIGMOM Pirates to Derice Rosa. Their goal is Uwangian Pirates. Moran narrowed his eyes slightly, then regained his composure and said, although this information may be worth 5 yuan and 70 fen, but for the sake of your being so sensible, let's write off today's incident. Then he said, do you have anything else to talk about? If not, hang up the phone. Morgan submissively thanked. Thank you, Lord Dragon Emperor, for not being as knowledgeable as I am. I have nothing else to do, so I wish you a happy life. Ka sauce. Morgans looked at the phone bug who closed his eyes in front of him, no longer the submissive look he had when he was on the phone just now, but his face was full of rebelliousness. Morgan stood there silent for a while, and then said to himself, the Dragon Emperor heard 5 emperors come to trouble him, and he can still be so calm. It seems that the Wanjian pirates are not as good as they seem. So easy. Chapter 283, Morgan's Rage. Morgan stood in front of a rectangular table, thinking about the content of the call just now. His face was gloomy and uncertain, and his heart was full of doubts. He couldn't understand why Moran refused, and what was the problem. He used to use information as protection money to cooperate with Whitebeard, but Moran refused so flatly, and his attitude was so firm that he didn't dare to say a word, so he could only apologize and end the call. In fact, he himself doesn't think money is so important, but the entire news agency is not his alone. At this time, around the rectangular table, there are full of senior executives of the news agency. Solid development on Whitebeard's turf. Now they are suddenly asked to share a large amount of money and give it to the Wanjian pirates as protection fees. These news agency executives objected one after another, and proposed to continue to use intelligence as protection fees to cooperate with the Wanjian pirates, so Morgans will go to Moran to talk about cooperation, but was rejected. Morgans couldn't figure it out, so he just stopped thinking about it, raised his head and looked at the senior executives of the news agency sitting around the table, spread his hands wings, and said helplessly, you were all listening just now, I have already looked for Wanjian pirates, but I have nothing to do if they don't agree, so prepare money. A high-level news agency suggested, how about we move all the news agency branches on the site of the Wanjian pirates to the sites of other 5 emperors, so that there is no need to pay protection fees. What do you think of this method? Sample. Another high-level directly refused. We have too many branches on the territory of the Wanjian pirates, it is impossible to move them all, and there are so many places in New World for us to move there. Another high-level executive also refused. Moving the news agency away from the territory of the Wanjian pirates is not only as simple as not having so many footholds, but just moving and rebuilding the news agency branch. The money is enough for us in the original. I have paid protection fees for decades, so what is the point of us moving away? For a while, the entire conference room was caught in various discussions. Proposals were put forward one by one and overturned again and again. Over and over again, either the solution would not work, or the cost would be too high. Morgans looked at the increasingly chaotic conference room. It looked like a vegetable market. How could it look like a conference room at all? Quiet me up. Morgans had no choice but to interrupt them aloud and let these people continue the discussion. After a year or so of discussion, there may not be a solution. After hearing Morgan's words, the entire conference room finally fell silent, and everyone in the conference room turned their heads to look at Morgans, waiting for his next words. Morgan saw the senior executives who had finally calmed down, and said directly to the people present, don't think about moving out and not paying the protection fee, because this is simply impossible. Then he added, maybe you didn't understand what Dragon Emperor Moran meant just now. If you don't pay the protection fee, you don't need others to take action. He will not let us go if he is the first one. So do you think it is possible not to pay? Sometimes he really can't figure it out. These guys are not young, and they look like they want money and don't want their lives. Are they planning to bring money into the coffin? Hearing Morgan's reminder, the executives at the news agency also felt that what he said was correct, and they knew it well, but they just didn't want to pay the money. A high-level news agency suggested again, we can ask the other 5 emperors for protection, so that we don't need to be afraid of the Wanjian pirates. I don't think these emperors will reject our well-informed partner. High level. This method can be considered. Morgans looked at the senior executives of the news agency who still didn't want to give up, and immediately shouted angrily, we are in other people's territory now, which pirate emperor will offend another pirate emperor because of some information? Then he added, even if there are pirate emperors who are willing, do you think these pirate emperors can protect us all the time? And you said that we have to move away, do you think we can get out of the Sea of Swords? Is it the territory of the thieves? On one of the 5 emperors' lands, seeking the protection of another 5 emperors, are these people's heads filled with dung? If Wanjian pirates really wanted to move them, they would have been killed before the emperor who protected them arrived. The islands where they are located are supported by their news agency. If they move away, these islands will basically be abandoned, so it is impossible for the Wanjian pirates to agree to let them move. If they insist on moving, it is estimated that the Wanjian pirates will not let their news agency go. No whimsical all day long. Faced with Morgan's repeated questions, the top executives of these news agencies all lowered their heads and did not dare to look at him. They were indeed a bit whimsical. Morgans looked at the lowered executives, shook his winged hands angrily, and said as he walked out. What's the use of earning so much money? Be careful if you earn money or spend it. You guys discuss it slowly, I will not accompany you. Morgans is indeed very angry. Their news agency has top experts, but they always want to pull teeth from the tiger's mouth. It's really an old birthday star who hangs himself for a long time. Looking at the leaving Morgans, everyone sitting there looked at each other in blank dismay. Even if they left, it would be useless to discuss the results, so the senior executives of the news agency stood up and left the meeting room. At this time, it is on the side of the Highland of King de Rosa. After Moran hung up the phone bug, he put the phone bug back in place. He, Zhao Hao probably will be in contact with each other in the future, so it is necessary to keep this phone bug. Moran thought about the news that Morgans told him just now, that Big Mom and Kaido have teamed up and are rushing to him, so he must be prepared. Although their Wanjian pirates are not afraid of those two guys joining forces, if he is unprepared, he may also suffer a loss. Although it is impossible for the 10,000 swords pirates to lose, without any precautions, the de Rosa who has just been defeated may not be able to keep it. So he wanted to find a way to move the battlefield to another place, but he hadn't figured out where to go yet. He was going to check around to see if there were any uninhabited islands. If there were any, he would move to the uninhabited island to fight. If not, he could only find a way to set up a battlefield. Chapter 284. War is about to break out. Moran went through all the things to do next in his mind, and then looked at the tornado in his arms. He had been on the phone with Morgans for so long, and this little girl didn't even bother to move her. I don't know. I thought what Moran was holding was really a pillow. Moran looked at the tornado lying in his arms with pouting pout, raised his hand to her pouting PG, and just slapped it down. Snapped. Tornado rubbed PG and raised his head to look at Moran, with a dazed look on his face, and then tears began to swirl in his eyes, as if they were about to fall, in the next second. Tornado questioned. Moran, why are you bullying me again? Moran just glanced at her, turned a blind eye to her pitiful appearance, and said expressionlessly, hurry up and get up, we're going to go to sea later, someone is going to come over and make us think. Tornado glared at Moda fiercely. Although she was a bit reluctant, she levitated obediently and left Moran's arms. She also heard when Moran called just now, so she didn't make a fuss at this time, but looked at Moran with angry eyes. These small eyes seemed to be able to speak, and the meaning expressed was very simple. Just wait for the matter to be dealt with, Miss Ben will not finish with you. As for whether she still remembers by then, no one knows. Facing Tornado's small eyes, Moran just smiled and didn't take it seriously at all. This little girl's anger comes and goes quickly, now angry, maybe the next second will come up like a kitten. Moran looked at the furious Tornado, and didn't take it seriously at all, but directly ordered, Tornado, go and inform other people, all of them come to my place for a meeting, don't stare, or you will be there when your eyes fall down. When you cry. HMPH. Tornado snorted very arrogantly, and then without saying a word, directly and quickly soared into the sky, flying towards the location of other people. Moran watched the tornado leave here. Although this little girl has an unforgiving mouth, she didn't mess around when she had something to do. That's nice. Moran looked at the tornado slowly flying away, but he was thinking in his heart, should he call Acedus and Uchiha Madara Senju Hashirama back, although he has more top-level powerhouses than the other side, but he is afraid of being entangled by the other party at that time. This will lead to a dangerous situation for the weak. Among the characters summoned now, Chitong, Arturia, Tornado, Fubuki, and Uchiha Itachi are still by his side. In addition, he himself is the 6 top experts. Unknowingly, there are already so many experts around him. It seems that there is no need to call them back. The big deal is that when the situation is not good, he will directly call him on the spot. Anyway, he has a lot of money now, and he is so inhumane. As time passed, members of the 10,000 Swords Pirates came to King's Heights one after another, and even Scarlet and Rebecca came to join in the fun. They were shopping with their children just now, and when Tornado was calling for someone, they followed along to join in the fun, mainly because Rebecca made a fuss about coming to Moran, and Scarlet had no choice but to follow. Moran stood up and looked at everyone and said, I have received news that the Beasts Pirates led by Kaido and the Big Mom Pirate Group led by Big Mom are approaching de Rosa. Their goal should be they want revenge on us, everyone go back and prepare, we will go to sea later, we can't let them come to de Rosa, otherwise if they fight here, the newly conquered island will probably be sunk, so we get them all out of de Rosa. Everyone. Understood the captain. Moran looked at everyone and nodded, and then ordered, if there is no problem, everyone go back and prepare. It's the captain. All the members who just came to King's Heights agreed and ran to their temporary residences to prepare for going to sea. They all lived on the King's Heights recently, and they didn't live on the boat, so Moran called them all back to prepare for the sea. Robin didn't go back to prepare right away. After everyone left, she came to Moran and asked. Captain Kaido and Big Mom joined hands with the 5 emperors. Their strength is not as simple as 1 plus 1 equals 2. Should we put Acedus and the three of them called back? Although Robin knew that the combat members on the ship were very strong, he still felt a little worried when he heard that Kaido and Big Mom led the pirates to fight. Asking for flowers. Moran looked at Robin with a worried face, and he couldn't explain to Robin. Could he tell her that he has a cheat and can summon characters to fight anytime and anywhere? Moran, unable to explain, could only speak calmly. Robin, you don't have to worry about these things. I didn't call Acedus and the others back, so I must be 100% sure that I can handle this war, and don't be underestimated. Look at the combat members on the ship. Even if there are 3 people missing now, let alone 5 emperors, 3 or 4, we can beat them to the ground. After Moran finished talking passionately, seeing Robin's face full of disbelief, he showed a fake sad look and asked, Robin, you are not a man who doesn't believe in your family, right? Robin blushed slightly when Moran said it, and said angrily, Bah. Shameless, I never said you are my man. Robin fled away from King's Heights after finishing speaking. Everyone else had already gone back to prepare, so she had to hurry back to get ready, otherwise there would be too little time. Moran watched Robin leave with a smile, and once again defeated Robin verbally, which made him feel a sense of accomplishment for no reason, molesting girls every day to bask in the sun. His life is so simple and unpretentious. After all the members of the Wanjian pirates left, Rebecca had the chance to interject and asked with her big kawaii eyes, Big brothers, are you leaving? Will you come back in the future? What? Moran looked at the girl's cautious appearance, and knew that she was reluctant to part with herself and the girls on the boat, so she explained, we are just going to intercept the bad guys who are coming here. It's not about leaving here, so we won't be away for too long, maybe we'll be back tomorrow. Rebecca confirmed with excitement. Really? Moran? Of course it's true. Very good. Bark. When Rebecca heard that Moran wasn't about to leave, she ran up to Moran excitedly, leaned over and gave a shit. Chapter 285. Uninhabited Island near de Res Rosa. Selena Gomez posts powerful bikini then and now. More. 71. 18. 24. Port de Res Rosa. Members of the Wanjian pirates came to the port one after another. Because Moran's luggage and other things were always taken care of by Robin, he did not go with the others to pack the luggage, but went to the port early. Waiting here at the port. Since they didn't need to sail for a long time this time, everyone packed lightly and only brought some necessities, so the preparations were done very quickly, and everyone arrived in a short while. Big brother, big sister, come back early. Rebecca stood at the port and shouted towards Moran and the others. Moran just waved his hand in the direction of the port, then looked at the people on the boat and said, if everyone is here, let's go. Everyone. It's the captain. After receiving the order, all the people on the ship had a clear division of labor to control the ship, slowly left the port, and sailed towards the depths of the sea. On the port side, all members of the King Liku clan came here to see off the 121 sword pirates, and a group of civilians also came to see them off. They already knew that it was the Wanjian pirates who saved them in dire straits, so they all came to see them off. Cyrus looked at King Liku and asked, King Liku, why do you want to prevent me from going to sea with them? They are fighting for us. Just now when Cyrus heard that the Wanjian pirates were going out to fight Big Mom Kaido in order not to affect de Res Rosa, he found King Riku and asked to fight, but King Riku refused him without thinking. They only know that Big Mom and Kaido are coming to attack de Res Rosa, but they don't know why they are here. If they knew, they probably wouldn't have such an expression. King Liku didn't answer what Cyrus said, but turned his head to look at Rebecca. He didn't seem to say anything, but he seemed to have said everything, and everything was silent. Cyrus followed King Riku's gaze and saw Rebecca's little puzzled expression. At this moment, he also understood why King Riku stopped him, because Rebecca was still so young, she had already after losing her mother, King Liku doesn't want her to lose her father again. After Moran waited for the boat to sail for a certain distance, he looked at Robin at the side and asked, are there any islands near Robin de Res Rosa? Robin didn't answer this question right away, but took out a chart and looked at it for a while before answering. There is an island not far from Captain de Res Rosa, but there is a crater on that island. Is not suitable for human habitation, so it is an uninhabited island. After Robin introduced the uninhabited island, he looked at Moran and asked, Captain, are we going to that uninhabited island? Moran stroked his chin and thought for a while before saying, let's go to the uninhabited island to check it first. After there is no problem, I am making the next plan. Robin. I see. After Robin got the order, she went to arrange the route and direct the direction. She was the only person on the ship who knew how to sail. Without her, it would be really difficult to move forward. The uninhabited island is very close to de Res Rosa, and the Wanjian pirates have arrived here in less than half an hour after sailing. Robin stood beside Moran, holding a telescope in his hand, looking at the uninhabited island in the distance, and introduced, Captain, this is what I call an uninhabited island. Because the volcano on this uninhabited island often erupts, so this no one can live on an island. Seeing that Moran didn't speak, Robin asked again, Captain, are we going to land on an uninhabited island? Moran shook his head and said, there is no need to land on the island, we just came here to make sure the island is still there. Because he just heard that there is a crater on the uninhabited island, and when the volcano erupts, it may sink the uninhabited island, so he asked to come over and check it out. Just make sure that the uninhabited island is still here. That is necessary. Robin heard that there is no need to land on the uninhabited island, and then asked, we don't land on the uninhabited island, so where shall we go next? Lin Hao glanced at the uninhabited island again, then looked at Robin and said, "We will sail around de Reese Rosa next, and don't get too far away from de Reese Rosa, so as not to miss Kaido and Big Mom who came over." Robin. I see. After Robin agreed, he began to direct the pirate ship to turn around and sail in the direction of de Reese Rosa, and other people on the ship also cooperated. Moran looked at Robin and the other people on the boat, and started to get busy again. Having nothing to do, he went to the deck chair and lay down directly. The salted fish still smells good in the sun. After another half an hour, the Wanjian pirates returned to the vicinity of de Reese Rosa, but they did not land on de Reese Rosa, but circled around de Reese Rosa. Robin came to Moran's deck chair again, saw two salted fish, one big and one small, on the chair, shook his head helplessly and said, "Captain, we have arrived near de Reese Rosa, what should we do next?" Then he added, "If we keep going around de Reese Rosa, we might not be able to meet Kaido and Big Mom, right? They are now 790 kilometers away from de Reese Rosa, and they can't even see the shadow of de Reese Rosa. If they go around in circles according to this size, the possibility of staggering with Kaido and Big Mom is very high." Moran looked at Robin with a confident expression and said, "You don't have to worry about this question, Shanron has his own tricks." Robin looked puzzled. She knew that Moran's observation Hawkeye had a very wide range, covering an island with ease, but it wasn't exaggerated to the point of covering thousands of meters of sea around the island. Seeing Robin's puzzled face, Moran didn't explain to her, but called to Uchiha Itachi not far away. "Itachi, come to my side, I have something to do." Robin looked at Moran holding a pillow tornado, with a face full of speechlessness, and he didn't want to move, and secretly complained in his heart, "You're so lazy." Uchiha Itachi came over and asked, "What's the matter, Master Moran?" "Moran, don't you know that Shadow Clone? You assigned some Shadow Clone to go out and patrol the sea area a few kilometers around de Reese Rosa, and found that Kaido and Big Mom blew themselves up and sent back the news." Uchiha Itachi. "Should I release my avatar now, or when will I release it?" Chapter 286. 5 Emperors are approaching de Reese Rosa. Moran thought for a while and replied, "Don't worry about releasing it, Kaido and Auntie will arrive here at noon tomorrow at the earliest, you should release it tomorrow." Uchiha Itachi. "I see, is there anything else? If not, I'll go back and work on it first." Moran waved his hand and said, "Well, go do your work." Apart from Moran, a salty fish who doesn't need to work, there are only Uchiha Itachi and Van Oka left on the pirate ship, so the task of the two of them is very heavy. Some swearing on the boat is tiring, and they are too embarrassed to ask girls to help, and Moran can't agree, so they are like two co-working days squeezed by black-hearted bosses. The number of pirates under the Wanjian pirates is too small, but it does not mean that they cannot patrol. They have as many shadow clones as they need, but the only disadvantage is that they cannot survive for a long time. Moran asked Acedus to go out to subdue his men, just to make up for the weakness of their pirate group and the embarrassing situation that no one is available. Robin listened to the conversation between Moran and Uchiha Itachi on 913, and showed an expression of sudden realization. It turns out that Uchiha Itachi's avatar can be used in this way. Robin saw Moran who started to close his eyes again after ordering Uchiha Itachi, and said angrily, "I said you have been salted fish for 2 days, can you get up and help with the work?" Moran opened his eyes and glanced at Robin, and asked with contempt on his face, "Robin, you already know that we are salted fish, but you still ask such mentally retarded questions, don't you think that salted fish will?" Robin was speechless at the question. She shouldn't have hoped for these two salted fish, it's almost impossible to get them to move, let alone let them go to work. Robin glared at Moran viciously, and then left here in a huff. Moran looked at Robin who was run away in anger, showing a victorious face, and then regained his composure, hugging his pillow tornado, and closing his eyes to bask in the sun. At this time, in the depths of New World, BIGMOM Pirates and Beasts Pirates, the junction of the two CBDI Pirates sites, there are densely packed pirate ships. The dozens of pirate ships here are all pirate groups under the BIGMOM pirate group, and they spent a day gathering here from all over the New World. And in front of these dozens of pirate ships, there are two super huge pirate ships, that is, the ship of the BIGMOM pirate group and the ship of the Beasts Pirates. This time Kaido did not bring his own pirate group over, but just brought the 3 major disasters and some strong men under his command. Big Mom knows that against the Wanjian pirates, weak pirates are useless at all, so Big Mom traded the smallest price for Kaido's biggest help. At this time, Big Mom and Kaido are standing on the bow, the two ships are close together, and they are talking about how to fight the next war. "Aunt Kaido, after you arrive in de Reese Rosa, you only need to help me stop the war members of the Wanjian pirates, and I will deal with the Dragon King boy. They only need to deal with the combat members and Moran of the Wanjian pirates, and they don't pay attention to those who are not combat members. After all, they have all met these people before, and they know how much these people are worth at a glance, so they only need to arrange these combat members, and let the people under their hands take care of the rest. Let's deal with it." Hearing the aunt's commanding tone, Kaido immediately said unhappily, Lin, you'd better not order lousy, or else lousy will hammer you together." The aunt knew Kaido's peeing behavior very well, but she just gave him a disdainful look, and sarcastically said, "Don't use it to scare my mother, do you think my mother will be afraid of you?" Immediately afterwards, he added, "If it weren't for the Wanjian pirates to seek revenge, why not fight with you right now?" Seeing the two who were about to pinch each other, Longbread came out to persuade him, "Our common enemy now is the Wanjian pirates. If there is anything to do, we should each take a step back. After the Wanjian pirates are eliminated, it's okay to fight as much as you want, but if you fight now, do you want others to see our jokes? Long Bread is the veteran of the BIGMOM pirates. Big Mom has no one available now, so he can only be asked to take on the job that was previously handled by Katakuri. And Long Bread knew Kaido when he was on the Rocks Pirates before, so he dared to come out to persuade these two moody monsters. Kaido saw Long Bread stand up and let him go down the steps, so he walked down the steps and said, Lousy will give Long Bread a face today, and Lousy will come to settle accounts with you again after fighting the Wanjian pirates. The ant was still the same as before, and said with a face full of disdain, if you don't look for my old lady by then, my old lady will also look for you D to settle accounts. Both of them jumped off the front of the car angrily. The conversation broke up in such a bad way. Neither of them accepted the other. It was really difficult for them to cooperate. Little Pirate 1. So, why did they pinch each other? Little Pirate 2. Are you asking me? Who the hell am I going to ask? Kaido and the ant left directly, leaving behind a group of bewildered subordinates. You look at me and I look at you. They couldn't figure out why these two suddenly picked each other up. After the ant jumped off the bow, she looked at Long Bread and asked, how many pirates of our BIGMOM pirates are still here? Long Bread replied, our pirate group. There are still 10 pirate groups that have not yet arrived due to the distance, and there are 35 pirate groups that have arrived here at this time. The ant thought for a while and directly ordered, we won't wait for them, so as not to be noticed by the Wanjian pirates after too long, you go and order to go immediately. Long Bread. I see, I will arrange it immediately. After receiving the order, Long Bread walked into a room where there were phone bugs, and these phone bugs were the phone bugs they used to contact the pirate group. Following orders issued one after another, the group of pirate ships parked here slowly started sailing to bid for Derice Rosa. Chapter 287. The War of the Five Emperors begins. Interesting for you. Selena Gomez posts powerful bikini then and now. More. 607. 152. 202. Time comes to noon of the second day. On the sea level thousands of meters away from Derice Rosa, here is a man squatting on the surface of the sea, but he did not sink. This is one of the hundreds of shadow clones distributed by Uchiha Itachi. At this time, he was squatting on the sea and observing his surroundings, complaining to himself, it's so boring. What is this deity's arrangement for me? Break the mission. Other avatars come out to play in various ways, but when it's my turn, there's nothing but seawater and fish. What evil did I do to arrange such a task for me? How long am I going to stay here? Enemies who want to come over, I beg you to come over quickly. This shadow clone looked at the boundless sea around him, with a look of resentment on his face, complaining about the 550. He has been talking to himself here for several hours. As if the prayer of shadow clone was heard by God, pirate ships appeared on the sea level not far away, slowly approaching Derice Rosa. Shadow clone jumped up excitedly, looked at the shadow of the boat that appeared 1,000 meters away, and prayed to himself, I hope this time it won't be an illusion like the previous few times. Shadow clone saw the slowly approaching ship, it didn't disappear slowly like the previous few times, but was still approaching slowly, and suddenly shouted excitedly, what the hell, lousy finally relieved. Already. Boom. Shadow clone yelled excitedly and blew himself up, and he still looked relieved. People who didn't know thought there was something wrong with him. Wanjian pirates here. At this time, Moran's pirate ship was still circling around Derice Rosa just like yesterday. They didn't know how many times they had turned, but it was too many to count anyway. At this moment, Uchiha Itachi, who was sitting on the edge of the railing, was fishing with a fishing rod and closed his eyes after finishing his work. He suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Moran and said, Master Moran, Shadow Clone has returned news, Beasts Pirates and BIGMOM Pirates the regiment has come around, shall we go and stop them now? Moran, who was lying on a deck chair basking in the sun, heard Uchiha Itachi's words, looked at him and asked, how many people are they here, and in which direction? After Uchiha Itachi digested the memory of the avatar, the corner of his mouth suddenly twitched, and he cursed inwardly. I haven't stopped talking for several hours, this B********* D can talk too much, right? Uchiha Itachi scolded Shadow Clone in his heart, and then replied. They came with a total of 37 pirate ships, 2 big ships belonged to Big Mom and Kaido, and the others were all pirate ships under Big Mom's hands. Thieves. Moran was full of seriousness. He thought that these two guys were just traveling lightly and only brought some strong men over, but he didn't expect to bring so many people over. Thinking of this, Moran asked again, which direction are Big Mom and Kaido going now? Uchiha Itachi raised his finger and pointed in one direction and said, that's where they are, and they are slowly approaching Derice Rosa at this time. Moran looked at the direction Uchiha Itachi pointed, which was not far from them, and directly ordered, Itachi, go and show Robin the way, and we will stop them immediately. Uchiha Itachi. I got it. As soon as Uchiha Itachi agreed, he went to Robin and pointed out the direction for her, while the others started to turn the bow and headed directly to the direction he pointed. The pirate ship slowly approached Aunt Kaido and the others. The distance between them was not very far, and before they were completely clear, they could see dense ship shadows on the sea level not far away. The pirate ships on both sides are getting closer and closer. Big Mom Kaido and the others seem to have spotted the Wanjian pirate's ship, and they are turning the bow to approach them. Moran saw that the other party was also turning the bow, and he had obviously found them. What he wanted was to let Aunt Kaido and the others discover their Wanjian pirates, and then lead them to fight on the uninhabited island not far away. Moran waited for the ship to approach several hundred meters, beyond the reach of shells, and directly ordered Robin. Robin, turn around immediately, let's go to the uninhabited island. Robin. I see. After Moran's order was issued, the people on the ship started to get busy again, steering the ship to turn around and head towards the uninhabited island. Seeing that there are so many of them, Moran wanted to consume a wave of them here first, so he said to the people on the boat, go straight to the uninhabited island, there are too many of them, I will consume a wave of them. Everyone. It's the captain. Dragon Wan. I want to go with you too, Moran. Moran. Be careful yourself. After Moran gave instructions to the tornado, a ball of green energy burst out from his body, and his whole body began to levitate. After Moran reached the high altitude, he raised his hand slightly. One sword flows 10,000 swords. The green energy around Moran became more and more abundant, the sea surface began to tremble, the sea water slowly gathered into the sky, and the sea water turned into thousands of swords, aiming at dozens of pirate ships on the sea level. Shish. The pirate group led by Kaido and Big Mom saw thousands of sword rain floating in the sky, they were stunned in shock, and ran around the ship in fear. Hey, this is too exaggerated, not good. Run away. With this level of sword rain, where can we go now? Is this the origin of the name of the Wanjian pirates? Shish. Bang bang bang. Even though it is sea water, it can shoot people through. Pirates scurry around like ants on a hot pot on the ship, and the pirate ship is riddled with holes from the sword rain. Kaido looked at Moran, who was outputting in the sky, looking like he had nothing to do with himself, and hung up high. Anyway, these pirates 4.9 are not under his banner, and this kind of large-scale attack cannot be stopped once it is formed. So let that old woman worry about it. And he saw that the pirate ships were shot through, and the pirates on the ship also jumped into the sea. The shot eagles died, their faces were as black as the bottom of a pot, and they directly cursed at the sky. Dragon Emperor. Moran, you be asterisk 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 D, are you looking for death? After the ant finished scolding, she jumped onto her thundercloud, and without a word, she soared into the sky, trying to stop Moran from continuing to throw the sword rain. Napoleon. Yeah, the ant yelled in the middle of the flight, and the hat on her head flew out by itself, and then it turned into a big sword and flew back to the ant's hand. Chapter 288. Ant Moranby. The ant was so fast in the air that she could only see afterimages, and she came to Moran in an instant, raised the big sword in her hand, and slashed at Moran. When Moran saw his ant rushing up to chop him, he didn't hesitate, the black knife Chushui quickly appeared in his hand, his eyes were covered with red light and two-colored hockey, and he swung the knife from bottom to top, directly meeting the big sword that ant slashed down. Clang. Crack. Crack. The two collided together and stood deadlocked in midair. The entire sky darkened because of the collision of the two. The sky was thundering and lightning, and the air waves generated by the collision were like shock waves, carrying black lightning bolts in all directions. Bump. After the two collided and stood in a stalemate for a while, they were all pushed back by the blast. They didn't stabilize their figures in the sky until they retreated tens of meters away. After Moran stabilized his figure in the sky, with a sarcastic expression on his face, he yelled in the direction of Big Mom. Do you think you can stop me, Big Mom? After Moran taunted Big Mom, he immediately raised his hand and lowered it slowly. The sword rain, which was still floating in the sky, shot all at the pirate ship on the sea. Shish. Although due to the collision between the two just now, the sword rain was scattered by the aftermath, but the remaining sword rain was enough to shoot them into a hornet's nest. Although it is impossible to wipe out all these pirates, it is still no problem to kill 2/3 of them. Shish. Bang bang bang. Puff puff. As the sword rain fell again, the pirate ships were sunk one after another, and the pirates were shot through one after another. A pirate looked at the falling sword rain with a face full of despair, and said to himself, there are too many sword rains and we can't stop it at all. How can we have such a pervert ability? At the beginning, the pirates on the boat tried to jump up to block the sword rain, but due to the density, they were riddled with holes by the sword rain. A pirate ran to the side of the railing, looked at his companion and said, staying on the boat is a dead end, jumping into the sea has a chance. Plop, plop, plop. Following the lead of this pirate, the nearby pirates who saw this scene also jumped into the sea one after another, and then more and more pirates jumped down. Andy saw this scene of angry smoke from the 7 orifices, and they had already suffered heavy losses before the fight started. Although the strong ones are fine, they are weaker than the Wanjian pirates in terms of high-end combat power. If they don't have the advantage of numbers, how can this make them fight? Andy knew that she couldn't go on like this, otherwise she would lose before even hitting them, so she yelled at Kaido directly. Kaido, you be asterisk 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 D, you still don't make a move, do you want to wait for my people to die before you make a move? Kaido glanced at Big Mom, although he did have this idea, but he couldn't do it now, otherwise after Big Mom fell down, he should be the next one to fall down. DL. Thinking of this, Kaido yelled, and slowly grew longer from the head, followed by the body and then the feet. After a while, a huge dragon appeared above everyone's heads. The dragon was suspended in the sky on several balls of flames. Shish. Kaido turned into a giant dragon and suspended in the air. Looking at the falling sword rain, he swung the tail of the dragon directly to the place where the sword rain was most concentrated. Bang bang bang. Sword rains were blown up by Kaido, and the blown sword rains turned into the original sea water and fell. Suddenly, artificial rain began to fall from the sky. Kaido was suspended in the air and swiped around with his tail. After a while, all the sword rain falling from the sky was wiped out by him. This damn sword rain is finally gone. Finally saved. This ability is even scarier than Conqueror's Haki. Conqueror's just stuns, and his ability is terrible. It's really scary. If Kaido hadn't shot and blown up these sword rains, we would all have died here today. At this time, on the 7 or 8 pirate ships that had not been sunk on the sea, the pirates who had recovered their lives on the ship all showed expressions of survivors, and they all felt the power of Moran. Kaido, who was still floating in the sky at this time, looked in the direction of Moran after hesitantly looking in Moran's direction after dealing with the sword rain, and then charged directly. Originally, they had an advantage in numbers, but now Moran did this, and their advantage in numbers was wiped out in an instant. He didn't want to bully the few with the more, but the current situation couldn't help him to be proud, so he hesitated for a moment and rushed over, wanting to join hands with the ant to deal with Moran. Bump. However, he hadn't rushed far, and suddenly it seemed that something had slapped him on the head, and he was slapped and flew upside down. Kaido flew upside down and flew tens of meters away before stabilizing his body. His head was buzzing and he looked at his position with a dazed expression, but there was nothing there. Big Bug, are you looking for me? Just when Kaido was in a daze, a voice suddenly came from beside him. It was a girl. Kaido turned his head to look to the left with a puzzled face, and found that it was a small dot, and he couldn't see it unless he looked carefully. Kaido looked at the little one floating in the air, and asked, "Hey. Did you do the little one just now?" Looking at the giant dragon, Long Wan was not afraid at all, and said directly, "So what? Hit me if you can." Just now Tornado saw Kaido wanting to get close to Moran. She knew what this guy wanted to do without even thinking about it. Getting money is good, decided that he wanted to bully the few with more. How could she allow this to happen? Although Moran always bullies it, those are just their usual squabbles. In fact, they have a good relationship. Kaido thought the tornado looked familiar just now, and now he finally remembered that this is one of the combat members of the Wanjian pirates, the tornado in the battle. After Kaido recognized the tornado, he directly opened his mouth and mocked. "Is there no one in your Wanjian pirates? You even sent a little girl out of you." Kaido said that although he said so, he was secretly vigilant, because he knew that the little girl was not a weak person, but a combat member of the Wanjian pirates that his aunt asked him to deal with by name. And according to the ant's description, this little girl is not weaker than him, and he may even suffer a disadvantage in a fight at sea. Chapter 289. Kaido who was almost killed by the tornado. Tornado hates people calling her a little girl the most, and Kaido takes both of these two things. She trembles in anger, her green hair stands upside down one by one, and the green energy on her body is getting stronger and stronger. "Go to hell, Big Bug," Tornado shouted angrily, and then raised his hand and pulled down. Kaido looked at the tornado inexplicably. He began to wonder if the ant lied to him. Are you sure this little girl is here to be funny? However, before he could taunt, a red light flashed in his eyes, and his knowledgeable color frantically warned, but he didn't see the attack, which made his heart sink slightly and his face began to look ugly. When Kaido was looking around for the danger coming from the color of knowledge, there was a burst of breaking empty sound in the sky above his head. Kaido raised his head to look in the direction of the sound, and saw a huge flaming meteorite falling towards him. When Kaido saw the meteorite, he cursed directly. "You guys from Wanjian pirates, do you guys like hitting people with meteorites so much?" When he was fighting with Uchiha Madara last time, he was hit by a meteorite and he didn't have any temper at all. Now another person still hits him with a meteorite. Does this mean that he is easy to bully? You Wanjian pirates are a bunch of bastards. Kaido soared into the sky cursing, and quickly rushed towards the meteorite above his head. He couldn't dodge, otherwise, the pirates directly below him, except for a few masters, probably would not survive. Seeing Kaido rushing towards the meteorite, Tornado also knew that a meteorite could not do anything to this guy, so she raised her hand and pulled it down a few times. When Kaido rushed to a distance of 100 meters from the meteorite, he finally stopped, suspended in the air and opened his dragon's mouth. A wave of energy gathered in his mouth. Hot interest. Call out. Kaido spat out a stream of heat from his mouth, as fast as a laser shot out, and collided with the meteorite in an instant. Bump. Boom. Rumbling. The fiery red heat penetrated the meteorite directly, and then the heat evaporated the meteorite, leaving no slag, as if the meteorite had never appeared. Whew. PH. However, before Kaido could breathe a sigh of relief, the sound of breaking through the sky began to resound again. He raised his head and saw another meteorite falling. His face instantly turned black like the bottom of a pot, and he shouted, "If you have the ability, follow me." Laozi's dignified one-on-one, using such indecent means, is not the work of a strong man. Facing Kaido's provocation, Tornado was not angry at all. He was suspended in the air horizontally, dragging his hands on both sides of his cheeks, and mockingly said with a smile, "Big Bug, you don't have to waste your energy. I'm not a strong person, I'm just a weak woman." Kaido was so angry that the entire huge dragon body was trembling, wishing to rush over and tear the tornado to pieces, but his immediate task now was to deal with the meteorite above his head, so he could only forcefully suppress the anger in his heart. After Kaido suppressed his anger, he stared at a pair of lantern-like eyes and said viciously, "You stinky B***ch, wait for Laozi, and see if Laozi comes back and doesn't tear you to pieces." The tornado was still suspended in the air horizontally, as if lying on flat ground, stretched out a small hand and waved, "I'll wait for you right here in case you won't come back." When Kaido saw Tornado's appearance that he didn't want to be beaten, he almost couldn't suppress the anger in his heart. He could only turn his head away from looking at Tornado. All the pirates must die, this is not what he wants to see. Thinking of this, Kaido no longer cares about the tornado, and rushes directly towards the falling meteorite. If he is too far away, the power is not strong enough. He is afraid that he will not be able to break the meteorite, so he can only approach and then hit the meteorite. Kaido stopped 100 meters away from the meteorite as before, suspended in the air and opened his mouth, another energy gathered in his mouth, and then spit it out quickly. Hot breath, call out, bump, boom, rumbling. Kaido exhaled fiery red heat and pierced the meteorite again. The meteorite exploded and was evaporated by the heat. Who? Kaido just exploded a meteorite, and then he saw another meteorite falling, accompanied by the whirring sound of breaking through the air. His face suddenly turned black like the bottom of a pot, and he turned his head towards the tornado. The direction of the mouth yelled. Time and time again, RUF ******* G endless. Asking for flowers. Tornado smiled Kaido. I don't know when it will end, but it should be enough for you big bug, spit it all out. Kaido rushed towards the meteorite again with a dark face. He knew that it was not an option to continue like this, otherwise it would be like what the tornado said, and his saliva would be vomited dry. At this time, there are only 7 or 8 pirate ships left, and they are all leaning together to keep warm. They are in a dilemma now, and they have never seen one that can fly. The second and these 4 are flying in the air, and they can't help if they want to help. What? Flame Calamity Jin is an ability user in the form of the dragon fruit Pteranodon. He can fly, but he can't act without Kaido's order. Plague Quinn saw the 4 fighting in the sky, and couldn't help but sigh. The abilities of the combat members of the Wanjian pirates are so powerful. Jack looked at Kaido who was being dragged tightly in the sky, and then looked at Jin and asked, Brother Jin, shouldn't we help Boss Kaido? Standing on the splint with his arms in his arms, Yan Calamity Jin looked at the 4 fighting in the sky and said, until Boss Kaido gives an order, all of us can't act rashly. After all, we don't know what Boss Kaido has planned. Jack was anxious like an ant on a hot pot. He didn't want to give up and wanted to make a move, so he said again, we can't stay here forever, or we will be killed by the aftermath of the battle between the 4 of them. Yan Wanjin looked at the anxious Jack, and could only patiently explain, if we know how to leave here, it will be a disaster for us. After all, the other people on board can't handle the 5 emperors' attack. The aftermath of the attack. Jack asked dejectedly, should we just watch from the sidelines? After listening to the explanation from Yan Calamity, Jack didn't speak, but he could tell from his arm pinching the railing that he was not at peace right now. Chapter 290. And Morinvi. Whoa, bump, boom, rumbling, boom, rumble. Kaido spit out 2 fiery red heat breaths again, piercing through the 2 falling meteorites. Both meteorites exploded with a bang, then they were evaporated by the heat breath. Kaido also doesn't know if the meteorite will fall. If he wants to break the deadlock, he must let the pirates below leave, otherwise he can only fight the meteorite here all the time. Thinking of Kaido here, he yelled directly towards the sea below. Jin, take them to chase the other members of the Wanjian pirates. Don't stay here, or Lousy won't be able to let go and fight. Yan Calamity Jin also thought of this question just now, but Kaido didn't speak and he didn't act rashly, and now Kaido finally spoke just as he wanted. So Yan Calamity started to command. Jack and Quinn, you 2 lead them to chase the Wanjian pirates on the boat, and I will tell the others to follow you. Search. Before Jack and Quinn could answer, Flame Calamity Jin spread its wings and soared into the sky, and then fell straight towards a pirate ship not far away. Jack and Quinn did not dare to be negligent, and began to command the pirates on the ship, manipulating the ship to chase in the direction where the Wanjian pirates left just now. The remaining 7 or 8 pirate ships also started to follow after being persuaded by Yan Calamity. The advantages and disadvantages of the cooperation between the 2 pirate groups are revealed at this time. The order given by one captain may not be followed by the other pirate group, but if one captain is down, the remaining captain can still give orders. Jingle. Bing 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 bing. Moran is competing with his aunt in the sky in swordsmanship. The swords in their hands can only be seen after shadows, and only when they collide can they see the appearance of the 2 swords. Crackling. Kaka-kacha. Every time the 2 collided in the air, a circular shock wave centered on the 2 of them would be generated, carrying strips of black lightning, impacting in all directions. Bump. Seeing each other, the 2 could do nothing to each other, so they both flew each other out very tacitly, and the 2 flew upside down for more than 10 meters before stabilizing their bodies. Stepping on the thunderclouds and hovering in midair, Big Mom saw that there were only 7 or 8 pirate ships left on the sea, and they were chasing the Wanjian pirates at this time. Well, when the ant looked away, she laughed angrily, and then said with a sullen face, Dragon Emperor boy, you are really capable, and wiped out all the pirates brought by the old lady. What are you doing? Courting death. Weo. Big Mom wraps both Conqueror's Haki and Armament Haki around the sword, and cuts out a huge sword energy, which hits Moran like a shock wave, as fast as lightning. Slash the immortal with one blow. Moran's eyes flashed red, and Conqueror's Haki and Armament Haki also entangled on the knife, slashing at Big Mom fiercely, and a slash of tens of meters with lightning quickly flew towards Big Mom. Bump. A huge slash met the rushing sword chi. The slashing sword chi could not stand still in the air, and finally exploded. Boom. Rumbling. The air waves generated by the explosion carried strips of black lightning, unscrupulously striking in all directions. The 100 meters of seawater around the two of them was squeezed by the aftermath of the explosion, and they could even be seen in places where the seawater was relatively shallow. The pitted ground on the bottom of the sea. Moran looked down at the slowly returning seawater, then raised his head and shouted to the ant. Ant, you are nothing more than that. You want my life to this extent. I think you should go back and continue to practice for a few years. Come on. Well, the ant smiled and said, anyone can say big words, and whether you can make this big talk well depends on whether you have the ability. Moran looked at the fat woman not far away, and said with a calm face, you will find out if I have this ability, but when you know, you must have already reported to Lord Yan. After Moran finished speaking, he swooped directly towards the ant, appeared in the air above the ant in an instant, bent down, and slashed down fiercely. The ant didn't feel afraid when she saw the falling black knife, the big sword directly raised up to meet the falling black knife. Clang. Immediately, the whole world was quiet for a while, and then there was a typhoon-like air wave entrained with black lightning, rushing towards all directions. Fortunately, the two of them were fighting in the air. If they fought on the island, they could sink the island in minutes. Fortunately, Moran got Big Mom and Kaido to deal with him in advance, so that he was prepared in advance, otherwise Derice Rosa would definitely be sunk. Cha. The two collided and once again stalemate, their conquerors' haki bombarded each other unreservedly. The black lightning generated by the collision of conquerors' haki scurry around in the sky unscrupulously, like black dragon snakes twisting their bodies in the air. You little kid is 323 years old. You haven't been weaned yet, so you ran out to learn how to be a pirate. Do you understand what a pirate is? Seeing that the two were in a stalemate, the ant wanted to stimulate Moran with words, so that he showed his flaws and created opportunities for himself. However, when she spoke, Moran's feet turned black in an instant, and he kicked Ant's chest fiercely. Bump. Because the ant was distracted while talking, she was kicked and flew upside down dozens of meters away, only to be picked up by her thunder cloud. This is really a steal. She is famous for her strong defense, known as the existence of steel balloons, so when she was kicked, she couldn't see the slightest trauma, but a drop of blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. The ant wiped the corner of her mouth with her hand, saw the blood on her palm, glanced at Moda, and said to herself, I never thought that at such a young age, you can even master such advanced skills. Big Mom used to fight against members of the Wanjian pirates, and the opponents were sent to fight her. And Moran looked so young, she thought Moran was not strong enough, so she didn't fight her. So she didn't take Moran seriously in her heart at all, but after several collisions, she realized how wrong her previous thinking was. Chapter 291. Ant Moranby continues. Moran was floating in the air with green energy all over his body, looking at the ant who was also floating in the air a few dozen meters away, stepping on a thundercloud, and thought to himself, this fat woman looked like she was going to fight him desperately just now, but now she is just standing there. The ground is motionless, what kind of trouble is this going to do? What Moran didn't know was that the ant was frightened by his strength and couldn't accept that he was so strong at such a young age, so she was suspended in the air in a daze. Moran saw that the ant was in a daze, he would not let this opportunity go, and he understood the reason why you would kill you while you were sick. Clap. Moran instantly turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed directly towards the direction of the ant. The speed was as fast as lightning, and the naked eye could only see a flash of lightning. Moran came to the sky in front of the ant in an instant, raised the black knife in his hand, and slashed at the neck of the ant with a shattering momentum. Big Mom had already come to her senses when Moran rushed over, but because Moran was too fast, she only had time to raise her left arm to cover Haki, blocking the only way for the black knife to pass. Clang. Where the black knife collided with the arm, circles of air waves were formed, carrying strips of black lightning, rushing towards all directions. Quote exclamation mark. 113 inches. The ant pushed Moran away with all her strength, and then she quickly backed away, not stopping until tens of meters away. The ant raised her arm and looked at the bleeding arm. It was a small hole that was broken when she collided with Moran just now. She just realized that she was broken, so she hurriedly pushed Moran away. Although it was because she used Haki in a hurry, Haki hadn't reached the strongest state yet, but even if it hurt her, it still surprised Big Mom. After all, she hasn't suffered trauma for decades, but now she is easily broken by Moran, which makes her have to be cautious. Moran looked at the blood remaining on the knife edge, smiled and sneered at the ant. Fat girl, your so-called steel balloon defense is nothing more than that. Moran was able to break through Big Mom's defense so easily, not because he was stronger than previous Big Mom's enemies, but because he covered the wind attribute chakra on the knife, coupled with his almost top-level swordsmanship. This result was the result. Moran also had to admit that the old woman's defense was CBCI, really pervert, and his swordsmanship plus wind attribute chakra only left a small wound on her arm. The ant's face was as black as ashes at the bottom of a pot. She looked at Moran and said in a deep voice, don't think that you can do anything to me if you break through my defense, but then as long as you are careful, what can you do to me? Moran looked at this giant baby speechlessly. This IQ is really no one. It is you and Kaido who want to kill me, not I want to kill you, so this has nothing to do with whether I can do nothing to you. Thinking of this, Moran asked mockingly, fat woman, do you still remember what you came here to find me? The ant also realized at this time, she came to find Moran this time, and wanted to kill Moran when the Wanjian pirates were not full, but if the stalemate continued, she would not be able to kill Moran. Moreover, this is Moran's territory. The other members of the Wanjian pirates may come back at any time. If the situation continues, it will not be of any benefit to him or Kaido, and they may be driven back by the Wanjian pirates people besieged. The ant, who wanted to understand the stakes, rushed towards Moran with the big sword in her hand, and shouted on the way, "Dragon King boy, remind me, is it because you are afraid that you will not die fast enough?" Moran looked at the rushing ant, and shouted as he went up, "I just don't want to fight a fat woman who only knows how to run away." Moran reminded her that she just didn't want to spend any more time with her, so hurry up and call it a day, and go back and lie down with salted fish to bask in the sun, wouldn't it be nice? Clang, boom, rumbling. The two quickly collided together, like sparks hitting the earth. With the two of them as the center, strips of black lightning burst out, as well as circles of air waves like shock waves, rushing unscrupulously in all directions. Immediately afterwards was the swordsmanship contest between the two, moving so fast that it was invisible to the naked eye, only the moment when the two swords clashed, a storm of sword blades formed around them. Jingle. Bing 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 bing. Both of them are capable users of thunder. As the two collided, dark clouds billowed in the sky, and a bolt of thunder fell from the dark clouds from time to time. Boom. 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 Rumbling. In the center of the blade storm in the sky, streams of sword energy or slashes leak out from time to time, splitting the dark clouds in the sky, or splitting the sea into deep trenches. After a few hours, Moran and Big Mom started a high-intensity battle in the air, which lasted for several hours, until now there is no intention of stopping. Jingle. Bing 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 bing. The two collided again and again, colliding together again and again, such repeated high-intensity collisions, the two were already out of breath at this time. Bump. The two of them collided again, and they were shocked by the recoil and flew upside down, directly flying upside down tens of meters away. After Moran flew upside down and flew tens of meters away, he felt that the recoil had almost disappeared, so he did a backflip and stopped firmly in the air. Hoo. After Moran stabilized his figure, he didn't rush up again as before, but stayed on the spot panting for a while to rest. Ha. Big Mom didn't rush up like a mad dog like before, but stayed a few tens of meters away panting for breath like Moran. Although both of them stopped to take a rest in a tacit understanding, their eyes never left each other for a moment, and they were still staring at each other. Those who didn't know thought they were two lovers, but in fact they were two life and death enemies. At this time, although there were no wounds on the two of them, their clothes were tattered, just like two beggars. Both of them hit each other with their attacks, but they were basically blocked by Hawkeye, so it was just a bit embarrassing because of their tattered clothes. Chapter 292. The Big Mom group and the 100 Beasts group arrive at the uninhabited island. Well, the ant who had rested for a while suddenly laughed, and then asked tentatively, "Looking at you, Dragon Emperor, you should have reached your limit, right?" Hee. Moran laughed and mocked. "I've almost reached my limit. You just need to work hard for a few more days and nights, and you should be almost there." Moran knew that his ant was getting anxious, so he tested his limit, but for a strong man like them, there is no limit in a few days and nights. Because they are all afraid that the other two strongmen of the Wanjian pirates will come back, and it will not be them who will kill Moran, but Moran will kill them. Moran hit Wanjianyu, and was beaten to pieces. But even if Moran doesn't clean up these pirates, they will be dealt with by the combat members of the Wanjian pirates. After all, they know too little about the Wanjian pirates. Seeing that Moran's depth could not be found out, the ant asked another topic. "All the pirates under my mother's hands, as well as the three major disasters of the beast's pirates, are all chasing the rest of your Wanjian pirates, are you not worried at all?" The ant's purpose is also very obvious, she just wants to be distracted. If a strong man is distracted, he will not be able to exert his full strength, and he just wants to use this method to quickly make a fool of himself. This is the only way she can think of now. After all, other people can't get in, and Kaido is entangled in the tornado again. Big Mom originally thought she could defeat Moran, so she asked Kaido to block the tornado, but after fighting Moran, she realized that she couldn't defeat Moran alone, which made her now in a dilemma. She is already doing everything she can to get rid of Moran as soon as possible. Only by getting rid of Moran can the current deadlock be broken. But will Moran give her this chance? The answer is of course not. In Moran's eyes, Big Mom's IQ is like a giant baby. If she has a long body but no brain, she must be someone like Big Mom. When Moran heard what the ant said, he knew what her purpose was, so he asked directly, "Fat girl, you know very little about our Wanjian pirates, and now the members of our Wanjian pirates who are nearby, there are at least 4 or 5 people who can fight with you, do you think I need to worry about them?" Although Acedus, Uchiha Madara, and Senju Hashirama are not here, but now there are Arturia, Akahito, Fubuki, and Uchiha Itachi on board. Does he need to worry? He didn't need to worry at all, but Moran was worried that Big Mom and Kaido's subordinates would not be enough for them to play as combat members. Well, the ant laughed directly when she heard Moran's words, and then said, "Dragon Emperor boy, I almost believed the old lady who said so much, why didn't you say that the members of the Wanjian pirates all have the strength to compete with my old lady?" Woolen cloth. My ant doesn't believe Moran's words at all. Even if there are such strong people, there can't be as many as 4 or 5. If Moran said 1 or 2, she might still believe it, but if she said 4 or 5, she would be horrified. Moran originally wanted to say that it was really possible in the future, but he didn't want to continue talking nonsense with this giant baby, so he said directly, Fat woman, if you want me to worry about the crew, then don't waste your efforts. I have no regrets for my crew with confidence. You should quickly put away this little trick of yours that is not on the table. Moran had almost rested, and when he finished speaking, he rushed out, and a few flashes appeared in the sky in front of Big Mom, swooped down and slashed down fiercely. Well, well, well. How dare you come to educate my old lady, a brat? When my old lady was a pirate, you didn't know where to play with mud. While swearing, the ant raised the big sword in her hand and directly met the knife that Moran slashed down. Clang. Ka 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 bye. The two quickly collided together, because the sky between the two collided with dark clouds, and after a stalemate for a while, what followed was a terrifying explosion. Boom. Rumbling. The sword gathered all the momentum and strength of the two people, and when they collided together, it was like an explosion on one side of a bomb. The explosion centered on the two people, bursting out strips of black lightning, and circles of air waves like shock waves, unscrupulous in all directions shock away. At this time, the 7 or 8 pirate ships that had just arrived on the uninhabited island, and the pirates on board all looked over when they heard the movement behind them. But because the distance is too far, they can only see the dark clouds in the sky, and the black lightning that covers the entire sky and is running around unscrupulously. This fight is too intense. Yeah, we can all feel the air waves generated when they collided. If we were close, we would probably be shocked to death by the aftermath. Sure enough, none of the 5 emperors is a simple character. The pirates on the boat looked into the distance, the sky covered with dark clouds, lightning and thunder, gathered together in 2s and 3s, talking a lot. At this time, on the Beast's pirate's ship, the 3 major billboards, including Jin, all looked at the sky solemnly. After notifying Big Mom's people, Jin also returned to their Beast's pirate's ship. After Jack came back to his senses, he said to himself, looking at the movement of their battle, it's not so easy for Boss Kaido and Big Mom to beat those two. Jin heard Jack's words, glanced at him and said 3.6. How can it be so easy to tell the winner in the battle of the 5 emperors? Their strength is at the ceiling level, and they may not be able to tell the winner after fighting for 10 days and a half months. What? Jin still has one thing to say, that is, Kaido may not be able to defeat those two people, but such words affect morale, so he didn't say it. Everyone who understands understands, those who don't understand should continue to be confused. Jack didn't continue to look at the battlefield in the distance, but turned around and said excitedly, let's hurry up and kill the rest of the Wanjian pirates, and then we can free up our hands to help Boss Kaido. Jack is so unafraid of death. No matter who is facing him, he dares to go up. Let's not talk about whether it is a fight or not, let's talk about it after a fight. Chapter 293. The war on the uninhabited island is imminent. Interesting for you. Selena Gomez posts powerful bikini then and now. More. 125. 31. 42. Both Jin and Quinn looked at Jack with idiot eyes. What is the difference between them intervening in a battle of this level and going to die? Although they wouldn't be killed by the aftermath with their strength, but as long as they were touched by these monsters, they would probably be disabled even if they didn't die. But when the two of them thought of Jack's brain, they could understand it. After all, this guy is famous for not using his brain when he goes out. He always goes on a rampage when he encounters anything. Whether he wins or not, he will fight first. Besides, seeing that both of them were staring at him, Jack asked with a puzzled face, Brother Jin, why are you two looking at me like that? Jin finally came to his senses when he heard Jack's words, but he didn't answer the question, but told him, Jack, after docking at the meeting, don't focus on fighting and killing. Pay more attention to the surrounding situation. Wanji and the pirates led us to this uninhabited island, and they probably set up traps here, waiting for us to drill inside. But Jack retorted indifferently. Just now I saw that the Wanjian pirates are full of women, except for the Dragon Emperor Moran. There are only 2 men, even if there is a trap, what can they do to us? Seeing that Jack was disobedient, Jin said with a straight face and a deep voice, the one who is fighting with Boss Kaido right now is the so-called B***ch in your mouth. Go fight her and see if she can kill you. Jack was speechless by Jin's words. He lowered his head and said nothing. He was not thinking about what Jin said, but thinking about why Jin is such a mother-in-law today. Jin also knew Jack's peeing nature, so he couldn't listen to his words at all, so he just said a few words and didn't continue. Jin looked at the pirate ship that had already landed, and directly ordered, we landed on the uninhabited island. There may be traps on the island. You all should be careful. It's Lord Jin. Boom. Jack jumped to the shore of the uninhabited island first, followed by the pirates on the pirate ship, jumping down one by one like dumplings. At this time, not far from the shore, the members of the Wanjian pirates waited here quietly. They didn't set up any traps at all, because they didn't pay attention to the invading pirates at all. Clang. Chitong looked at the pirates who landed on the island, and directly pulled out her long-lost knife. After she came here, she could count the number of strikes on one hand, so it is not wrong to say that her knife has been dusty for a long time. Chitong's eyes flashed red, and he said to Fushui at the side, Fushui, you can fly faster, and after the fight, you will be responsible for supporting. Arturia also told the weaker ship members, don't run too far, you guys, if there is any accident, we won't be able to save you in time. Blue Bonnie was the first to nod excitedly, as if he couldn't wait to play, and the others also nodded to show their understanding. Robin also said at this time, we know how much we are, and we won't cause you any trouble. Originally, several combat members wanted them to hide inside the island, but they asked to participate in the battle together. Seeing that they could not persuade them, the combat members could only agree to let them participate in the battle. Uchiha Itachi suggested at this time, the battlefield is changing rapidly, and it is inevitable that there will be times when I can't take care of it. How about letting my clone protect them? Van Oka murmured in a low voice with a speechless face, why don't you say that the enemy is captured and let us kill it? Several combat members heard Van Oka's words, and they looked at each other, and their eyes lit up instantly. Van Oka noticed the changes in several people, with a drop of cold sweat streaming down his forehead. He asked cautiously, you don't really want to do this, do you? Then he protested. If you really do this, then what's the point of us participating in the battle? Blah 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 blah. After some discussion, everyone finally decided to let Uchiha Itachi use his avatar to stare at these people, and then Fubuki was ready to support at any time, if there was something that Uchiha Itachi's avatar could not solve. She'll figure it out. The reason why several combat members are so afraid of their accidents is because these people are Moran's darlings, and if something goes wrong, they can't help Sao Lan to explain it. Except, of course, this fellow Van Oka. Chitong looked at the pirates who were getting closer and closer, with red light shining in his eyes. He raised the Tongi character in his hand, and slashed fiercely straight ahead. Buried. Clang. Quote exclamation mark quote. A half-moon-shaped slash of more than 10 meters quickly flew towards the crowd of pirates, and everything it passed, whether it was trees or stones, was cut into two. Seeing the slash that was coming straight, Jin pulled out the knife at his waist without hesitation, and slashed out fiercely. It was also a half-moon-shaped slash of more than 10 meters, meeting the slash that was rushing quickly. Asterisk. Zit. Boom. Rumbling. The two slashes collided quickly, and after a stalemate for a while, they exploded, kicking up a cloud of dust. The surrounding trees and cloth heads were destroyed by the aftermath of the slash. Da da da. Da da da. After the aftermath of the slashing and collision ended, a girl with crimson pupils and black hair fluttering in the wind came out from the dust. Jin saw the red-eyed girl walking out slowly, felt her momentum, and his heart sank slightly. It seems that the Wanjian pirates are not so simple. Da da da. Da da da. As they came out one after another, Wang Chenjiao, although the people who came out behind did not show their aura, their hearts still sank to the bottom of the valley. Because there are a few people who can't even feel the depth of him, as if they are ordinary people. If this happens, there are only two possibilities. The first possibility is that these people are really ordinary people, and the second possibility is that they are ordinary people. It's just that these people who don't know the depth are stronger than him. Thinking of Jin here, he whispered directly to Quinn next to him. If the situation is not good, just run away, don't worry about other people, it's important to save your own life. Jack, I will save him. When Jin thought of those two possibilities, he almost didn't have to think about the result. Will there be ordinary people on the Wanjian pirates? Although Quinn was dumbfounded when he heard this, he didn't ask any more questions when he thought the occasion was wrong, he just had to do what Jin said. Chapter 294. Red Eye v Jin. The pirates of the BIGMOM pirates and their pirates didn't know that Jin, the leader of the Beast's pirates, was already thinking of running away before the fight started, and these pirates were still looking like they couldn't wait to do it. Kai Tong stared at Jin, and said without looking back, leave the winged guy to me, and you can do whatever else you want, remember to protect yourself. After Chitong finished speaking, he rushed out, aiming directly at Jin. His speed was as fast as lightning, and when he was halfway running, he shot straight into the sky, swooping down and slashing at Jin fiercely. Jin felt Chitong's overturning momentum, and he didn't dare to neglect. He clenched the knife in his hand and raised it to meet Chitong's falling knife. Clang. Boom. Boom. The two quickly collided together, and spider webs appeared on the ground under Jin's feet, and the air waves generated by the collision rushed in all directions, blowing the surrounding pirates upside down, and some were even directly hit by them. Blow it out. Seeing the pirates of his own side who were unable to stand still, Quinn shouted directly, get out of here quickly, if you stay here, the aftermath of the battle will shock you to death. When the surrounding pirates heard this, they all ran around one after another, for fear of running too slowly and being involved in the battle between the two, they would have nowhere to cry. Bump. Jin used all his strength to lift Chitong flying in the air, then swooped over, quickly caught up with Chitong who flew upside down, and mercilessly slashed at Chitong who was still in the air. Kai Tong directly held the knife in front of her body. She was unable to attack in the air at this time, so she could only hold the knife horizontally in front of her body to resist. Bump. Chitong was beaten again and flew backwards. When he landed on the ground, he was still able to stabilize his figure by rowing out more than 10 meters on the ground. Chitong looked at the two scratches more than 10 meters long scratched out by his own feet, and thought to himself, it seems that this guy is not a fuel-efficient lamp, he was a little careless just now. Although she wasn't injured, she was sent flying upside down as soon as they fought. Where does this make her face? Thinking of Kai Tong here, he looked directly at Jin Yin and asked sullenly, are you B********* D ready to die? Jin also responded unceremoniously, I didn't scare you too much. You only know who lives and who dies after being beaten. If you have the ability, you can let the horse come here. Boom. Chitong also stopped talking nonsense with him, and disappeared in the same place in an instant, leaving only a big hole in place, but her person appeared behind Jin as if teleporting, raised the knife in her hand, and slashed down at Jin's back. Red light flashed in Jin's eyes, as if there were eyes behind his back, so why bother? He turned around and slashed at she, just in time to collide with Kai Tong's knife. Clang. Boom. Rumbling. The knives of the two collided quickly, and after a stalemate for a while, spider webs appeared on the ground with the two as the center, and the air waves generated by the collision rushed in all directions like a circular typhoon. Bump. The two of them were also affected by the recoil caused by the collision, and they retreated more than 10 meters before they stabilized their bodies. Two long deep grooves were drawn under the soles of their feet. Immediately afterwards, the two rushed towards each other at the same time. Both of them were very fast, as if they were going to chop each other into pieces. Clang. Tinkling. Bing 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 bing. After Chitong and Jin collided and stood in a stalemate for a while, they started a swordsmanship contest. The swords in their hands could only be seen after shadows, and only when they collided could they see the appearance of two swords. Jingle. Bang bang bang. The two collided again and again, separated again, and then collided again and again. Such repeated high-intensity collisions made the surrounding pirates dare not approach the two within 100 meters. Bump. The two of them collided again, and they were shocked by the recoil and flew upside down, directly flying upside down tens of meters away. Pat. Chitong did a backflip and landed tens of meters away, and then glanced at the surrounding battlefield. Seeing that no one else needed help on the battlefield, she continued to play with this birdman without worry. That's right, she's just playing. She used to be an assassin. She's a professional who is weaker than her in killing people. She can kill the enemy in minutes. ******* 7. After observing for a while, Chitong shot straight up into the sky, and then swooped down towards Jin's location, clenched the knife crutch in his hand with the momentum of turning the sky. Before he hit the ground, he slashed down fiercely, followed by the slash of more than 10 meters slashed in Jin's direction. Jin saw the overwhelming slash falling towards him, so he rose to the sky without any hesitation, and then slashed upwards to meet the huge slash. Boom. Boom. The two slashes collided and exploded directly, and the air wave generated by the explosion carried the slashes of the two people in all directions. 0. 0. What? Not good. This air wave will cut people. Get out of here quickly. The pirates who were closer to the battlefield of Chitong and the two were directly slashed by the air waves generated by the two people's slashing and collision. Immediately after these people realized that something was wrong, they started to run wildly with their feet. I guess they are complaining in their hearts that their parents are young. Gave them two legs. The air waves generated by these slash explosions carried the slashes of two people inside. Although the power of the collision was not as strong as before, it was enough to split these weak little pirates in half. Boom. Rumble. A group of pirates were frightened by the wave of slashers and ran away crazily, but before they could go far, they were stopped by an object flying down from nowhere. They also didn't see clearly what the falling thing was. It hit the ground and raised a cloud of dust. People outside couldn't see clearly what was going on inside. Cough cough hash. A-hole. A-hole. After a while, as the dust slowly dissipated, a tall figure climbed up from the pit, coughing and cursing. After seeing the person who got up clearly, a pirate stammered, pointing to the big pit. That's Jack from the Beast's Pirates signboard. Didn't he rush to the front just now? How did he appear in the pit? Here. Chapter 295. Uchiha Itachi uses Susanoo for the first time. Just now after Jin and Chitong fought, Jack rushed to the front immediately, and now there are only some people who are afraid of death and slowly follow behind to fight soy sauce, so they were all shocked when Jack appeared here. I saw him flying over just now. He couldn't have been beaten out. He is one of the three big signs of Beast's pirates. How could he be blown out? If he is really blown out, how strong must the strong inside the island be? After seeing the people in the big pit clearly, the surrounding pirates were all stunned in shock, and after recovering, they all started talking about it. After Jack led the charge just now, the members of the Wanjian pirates retreated while fighting. The battlefield at this time was in a forest, and the big trees in the forest were very tall, as if they wanted to pierce the sky. Most of the pirates were fighting in the forest, and Quinn and Jack were also fighting in the forest just now, but Jack was knocked out for some reason. 21. With two scimitars in his hand, Jack walked slowly towards the interior of the island again, and the crowd who blocked the way cursed and said, "Hurry up and get lousy away, or I will beat you together." Not good. Run away. Although they are all members of the pirate group under the BIGMOM pirate group, the two pirate groups are in the New World, and they often have transactions, so they all know that Jack's madness can be an enemy or an ally, as long as it is in the way. Anyone who sees him will be beaten. Boom boom boom. Boom. The pirates around were about to leave here to make way for Jack, but before they could take a few steps, the whole island suddenly shook, accompanied by a rumbling sound, which came from the forest. Everyone looked in the direction of the forest, and saw the tall trees in the forest falling down one by one, but because the trees were too tall, they couldn't see what was going on inside. Only Jack looked at this scene with a gloomy face. Of course he knew what was going on. He was blown out by this ghost thing. Boom. Rumble. The surrounding pirates stared blankly at the direction of the forest. Gradually, the moving things in the forest got closer and closer to them, and the ground vibration became more and more intense. Boom. Boom. When the last big tree outside the forest fell, they finally saw what it was, but after seeing it clearly, they couldn't say a word, and they just stood there in shock. A pirate gradually came to his senses, pointed to the direction of the forest and stammered, "The Red Titan, what kind of monster is it? Are we going to fight this monster? How could we beat this kind of monster?" Ding dong, ding dong. When a group of pirates saw the Red Titan, they all looked ashen. Some even couldn't hold the weapons in their hands steadily, and the sound of weapons falling to the ground sounded one after another. It was Uchiha Itachi's Susanoo who came out of the forest. Just now Jack was rampaging in the forest. Uchiha Itachi was afraid that he would hurt the clumsy and fun-loving crew members, so he had no choice but to shoot him out. This is the first time he has used his full power since he came to this world, but it is not to meet a strong enemy, but to protect the crew members of the ship. He is also very helpless to those crew members who are good and playful. Jack is different from the silly pirates around him. He is walking towards Uchiha Itachi step by step, cursing as he walks. If you don't want to die, don't hinder Lousy here. Lousy doesn't care about your life and death. Hurry up and get out of Lousy. Run away. Walk, walk, you will die if you stay here. When a group of pirates heard Jack's words, they all started to run away from this place of right and wrong, and they all respected these strong men at a respectful distance. Jack stopped not far from Uchiha Itachi, looked at the Red Titan and cursed. You be asterisk 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 D just now dared to hit Lousy so far, are you ready to suffer? Uchiha Itachi stood inside the Red Giant, looked at Jack on the ground, and said with a blank expression, I almost believed your big words. If you really have the ability, just let your horse come here. Jack didn't talk nonsense with Uchiha Itachi anymore, he just brandished his two knives and rushed towards the Red Titan in front of him. Halfway through the run, he soared into the sky, swooped over, raised his two knives and slashed at the Red Titan fiercely. Boom! Rumbling. The double knives that Jack slashed were blocked by a round shield that suddenly appeared, preventing him from moving any further. After Uchiha Itachi blocked Jack's double knives, a large sword burning like flames suddenly appeared in his right hand, and he slashed at Jack fiercely. Jack saw the big sword coming, so he could only draw back his two knives crossed in front of him, trying to block the flaming giant sword. Bump. Jack was sent flying upside down and hitting the ground. No matter how much he twisted his body, he couldn't stop his flying upside down. Quote exclamation mark. 737. Jack was directly smashed into the ground by a sword. He fell into the surrounding area in the afternoon, and there were spider webs all over the ground. It was like a magnitude 10 earthquake happened on the ground, and a large cloud of dust was thrown up. People outside couldn't see the situation inside clearly. Ahem. This B asterisk 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 D has too much strength. When the dust cleared away, Jack crawled out of a big hole, coughing and cursing. He was still a little unconvinced when he was sent flying for the first time, but when he was sent flying again, he finally felt the terrifying power of the red-eyed man. Boom boom boom. When Jack was still swearing at the same place, Uchiha Itachi rushed over again brandishing a flaming sword, and every step he took was trembling due to the great reason. When Jack saw this scene, he cursed directly. Don't think that you can transform, and Lousy can transform too. It depends on your ability or Lousy's ability. Drink. Jack yelled and began to transform immediately. A long nose appeared from his head, and then the whole person slowly turned into an elephant. Chapter 296. Uchiha Itachi v Jack. After rumbling, Jack turned into an elephant. He saw the Red Titan rushing towards him, so he rushed out without any fear. When he came to Uchiha Itachi, he waved his long trunk and drew towards the Red Titan in front of him. Uchiha Itachi controlled Susanoo, conjured a shield in front of him, and blocked it directly in front of him. This is his spiritual weapon. Yada mirror. Boom. Rumbling. The two quickly collided together, and the aftermath of the collision cracked the surrounding ground one after another, kicking up a large cloud of dust, and spider webs spread all over the ground under their feet. When the dust dispersed slowly, Jack found that his elephant's trunk was on Uchiha Itachi's shield, but the shield did not move at all, as if he was not pulling a shield, but a steel city wall. Seeing that Jack was in a daze, Uchiha Itachi immediately raised the big sword in his hand, and then slashed fiercely at Jack who was in a daze. Jack had come to his senses when Uchiha Itachi raised his hand, but because the distance was too close, he couldn't dodge it at all, so he could only try to avoid the vital points. Crash. What? Jack turned into an elephant, with 460 cuts on his back, and Jack screamed and endured the pain, and rolled to the side, away from Uchiha Itachi. After standing 10 meters away, Jack turned around and looked at Uchiha Itachi out of breath, and shouted with a face as black as the bottom of a pot. You this be asterisk 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 D doesn't talk about martial arts, but even plays a sneak attack, do you still have a strong spirit? Uchiha Itachi flicked the blood that didn't exist in the sword, and asked Uchiha Itachi with a sarcasm in Susanoo, according to the people here, I should be considered an assassin. Have you ever seen an assassin say hello when they kill? The recovery of Zone's ability users is very terrifying. After a few words, the wound on Jack's back is no longer bleeding, and it is obvious that his ability has awakened a person with extraordinary recovery ability. Uchiha Itachi stood in the distance and saw this scene, frowned, and then he stopped talking nonsense, and rushed over, and came to Jack in a few steps, raised the flaming sword in his hand, and slashed down. Jack didn't dare to be negligent when he saw the big sword falling down, he directly covered Hawkeye with the elephant's trunk, and threw CBBG out to meet the falling big sword. Clang. Boom. Rumbling. The nose and the big sword collided quickly, and after a stalemate for a while, a series of spider webs began to appear under the feet of the two of them. Uchiha Itachi's foot turned black quickly, and then he kicked Jack hard. Bump. Jack, who was like a hill, was kicked and flew upside down until he hit the ground tens of meters away. Boom. Rumble. The elephant that Jack turned into fell to the ground, and the mountains shook instantly, just like sparks hitting the earth. The ground was directly shaken out of spider webs and a cloud of dust was thrown off. In a few steps, Uchiha Itachi came to the messy place hit by Jack, and then rushed into the dust, and before Jack got up, he slashed down with his sword, killing you while you were sick. Wow, Uchiha Itachi's sword was splashed with blood. Although it was covered with dust, it was hard to see, but he did hit Jack, so he raised the big sword in his hand again, and slashed down again. Ding. However, Uchiha Itachi's sword did not cut Jack, as if what he cut was not a person, but a stone as hard as iron. When the dust dissipated slowly, Uchiha Itachi finally understood why. It turned out that Jack had covered his whole body with haki, so he felt that the many people he chopped down were a hard stone like iron. Seeing this scene, Uchiha Itachi said mockingly, "You are so tough, you shouldn't be a zone elephant fruit ability user, but a zone turtle fruit ability user." Jack was covered with armament haki, and he got up fiercely against Uchiha Itachi's big sword, and then he yelled, "B********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** was too lazy to talk nonsense with him, raised the big sword in his hand again, and slashed with all his strength. Jack is now an elephant with only his trunk as his means of attack, so he sticks his trunk out again to meet Uchiha Itachi's great sword. Clang. Boom. Rumbling. The aftermath of the collision sank the ground around the two of them, with spider webs all over the ground, and circles of typhoon-like air waves spreading in all directions. Tick-tock. Tick-tock. The two remained in the same position as when they collided. Uchiha Itachi's great sword was caught in Jack's nose, and Jack's nose was bleeding profusely. Although his nose hadn't been cut off, it was no different if it was half-synced or broken. What? UB*************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************2**** he started cursing again. Just now Uchiha Itachi didn't use all his strength to attack him, otherwise his haki couldn't block Uchiha Itachi's attack at all. Now when Uchiha Itachi used all his strength, Jack couldn't withstand his attack in an instant, even his nose was covered by haki, and he was cut with a wound. If Uchiha Itachi had used a little more force just now, the nose would no longer be on him. Uchiha Itachi ignored the scolding Jack, but raised the big sword in his hand again with a blank expression, and slashed over with it again. When Jack saw the big sword coming again, he was frightened instantly, and a donkey rolled to the side in embarrassment. Boom! Rumbling. Because Jack ran away suddenly, Uchiha Itachi's big sword slashed on the open space in front of him, and a deep ditch tens of meters long and several meters wide was cut directly on the ground. Jack rolled to the side more than 10 meters away, and then slowly changed back to a human form. His nose was almost cut off, and he couldn't continue to use it as a weapon in a short time, so he had to change back. Otherwise, he can only be beaten or run away, but this is not his character. His character is reckless to the end, and he will not turn back until he hits the south wall. Jack, who turned back into human form, looked at Uchiha Itachi, and asked with a gloomy face, "You be D's strength is strong for a while, and weak for a while, what's going on?" Chapter 297, Uchiha Itachi. Jack continued. At the beginning of the fight, Uchiha Itachi was just on par with him, but just now a sudden sword cut through his haki defense, which really scared him a bit. Because he is a zone-capable person, he can practice armament haki with half the effort. Although he is not the top armament haki, his armament haki is not far from the top emission haki. And it's armament haki who can't stop Uchiha Itachi's sword, no matter how reckless he is a little scared. Hearing Jack's question, Uchiha Itachi replied blankly, "Just now I was just playing for you, and I didn't use my full strength, so you have the illusion that I am sometimes weak and sometimes strong." Uchiha Itachi did not hide it, but explained it generously with, May 47. After all, in his eyes, Jack is already a dead man. Jack's face darkened when he heard Uchiha Itachi's answer, and then he asked in a deep voice, "So you've been playing lousy like a monkey? There must be a limit to joking. You be D, lousy." Jack rushed towards Uchiha Itachi with a face full of disbelief, shouting as he charged. Uchiha Itachi doesn't want to continue playing with him anymore, because he has been out for so long, and he doesn't know what's going on in the forest. Go back and have a look to be at ease. Thinking of this, Uchiha Itachi raised the big sword in his hand, and rushed out to meet the rushing Jack, and the two collided quickly. Clang. Boom. Boom. Uchiha Itachi and Jack collided together, and after a stalemate for a while, the place where the two collided exploded directly. Jack was directly blown out by the recoil, while Uchiha Itachi stood in place and was not affected by the recoil boom out. The moment Uchiha Itachi saw Jack flying upside down, he immediately chased after him, holding up the big sword in his hand, and after catching up, he dealt a huge amount of damage. Jingle. Crash. Crash. While resisting Uchiha Itachi's onslaught with great difficulty, Jack backed away. During this period, more and more wounds were wounded on his body, and blood flowed down like he didn't want money. Crack. Wow. Uchiha Itachi swung his big sword upwards, cut off Jack's scimitar, and then slashed on him, and Jack was directly lifted out and flew into the chest of Jiashu in the air. Boom. Rumbling. After Jack flew upside down and flew tens of meters away, he landed on the ground, directly smashing out cobwebs on the ground and kicking up a cloud of dust. Pat. Uchiha Itachi lifted Susanoo to the ground, and then walked towards Jack step by step. At this time, Jack was covered with wounds all over his body. The deepest wound was on his chest. From his shoulders to his waist, there was a long and deep wound that was bleeding profusely, lying in 10 large pits. Uchiha Itachi walked to the edge of the big pit, saw the motionless Jack in the big pit, and directly opened his mouth and said, "There is no need to pretend, with your zone's recovery ability and ability to resist blows, this level of injury is not enough to let him go. You're unconscious." Ahem. Hearing Uchiha Itachi's words, Jack suddenly opened his eyes, coughed and got up slowly. Jack originally wanted to recover from lying down, but Uchiha Itachi had discovered him, so he had no choice but to get up and continue fighting. Jack looked at Uchiha Itachi, who was on the edge of the big pit. His face was as black as the bottom of a pot, and he cursed. "You are a strong man who has been on the Wanjian pirates for so long, and you have no reputation at all, your captain. It's really good to hide you." Jack thought that Uchiha Itachi was Moran's hidden trump card, but Uchiha Itachi was not something Moran wanted to hide on purpose, but that there was no opponent worthy of his full strength, so he gave others away, and these people were all hidden by Moran illusion. Uchiha Itachi didn't explain that much, and looked at Jack blankly, and his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan began to spin. Amaterasu. Jack's sense of knowledge suddenly turned into a frenzied warning without any warning. He didn't even think about it, and he rolled aside in embarrassment. Oi 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 oi. After Jack rolled aside, he turned around and looked at where he was standing just now, and he saw a black flame burning the ground. Seeing this black flame, Jack felt a sense of fear for no reason, which made him startled. You must know that since he was a child, the number of times he has experienced fear can be counted on the fingers. Such a small flame actually made him feel a sense of fear. Thinking of this, Jack looked at Uchiha Itachi and asked, "What the hell is going on with your black flame?" Uchiha Itachi turned his head and glared at him again. A group of black flames suddenly appeared in front of Jack without warning, but Jack, who had been prepared for a long time, was a donkey rolling around in a panic. Dodge. At this time, Uchiha Itachi said, "This is my ability. As for what's going on, just try it with a little bit of it and you'll know." Jack was almost d off by this sentence, knowing that it was a horrible thing, but let him get a little bit of it. Jack suspected that Uchiha Itachi thought him a fool. Thinking of Jack here, he cursed with an ugly face. How could Lousy touch something that he knew was terrifying? Do you think Lousy is a fool? However, what Jack didn't notice was that when Uchiha Itachi was talking to him, he didn't stop setting fire, and the black flame was still on 2.6, gradually enveloping Jack in the black flame. Uchiha Itachi saw Jack surrounded by black flames, and then he said, "I didn't say you were a fool, I was just dealing with a fool, so you can go to hell." After Uchiha Itachi finished speaking, he glared at Jack again, and then a huge black flame suddenly appeared above Jack's head and slowly fell towards him. Jack just wanted to avoid the flames again, but when he looked left and right, he found that his surroundings were filled with black flames. Seeing that there was no place to hide, Jack cursed directly, "You be d, it doesn't matter if you are so strong. If you are still so shameless, you know how to do some dirty tricks. Ask for a subscription. Ask for flowers, ask for a monthly pass." Chapter 298. Jack's death. Jin was seriously injured. Selena Gomez posts powerful bikini then and now. More. 162. 41. 54. Jack had just finished scolding Uchiha Itachi with a fierce face, and then he thought of a solution anxiously. The surroundings were filled with black flames, and black flames were falling from the top of his head. What? Uchiha Itachi also knew that his Amaterasu was too slow to hit people, so he directly filled the pit with Amaterasu fire, and by the time Jack realized it was too late. Uchiha Itachi saw Jack jumping anxiously, and said mockingly, "Hiding around is not about being touched. You can rest assured that these black flames will not die immediately. Your haki should be able to withstand a small yes, and then they will be slowly burned to death." When Jack saw Uchiha Madara, he suddenly thought about it, gritted his teeth and showed a fierce expression on his face, and then shot up into the sky. Boom. Jack jumped out of the big pit directly, but even though he came out, his body was covered with the fire of Amaterasu. Jack is covered with armament haki, many parts of his body are burning with black flames. He rushes directly to Uchiha Itachi regardless. A bear hug wants to hug Uchiha Itachi. Then put the black flame on his body on him. Uchiha Itachi seemed to be stupid. He just stayed where he was, without any resistance, and was directly hugged by Jack. Wow wow wow. However, just when Jack was happy because he hugged Uchiha Itachi in his arms suddenly turned into a flock of crows, screaming at he and flying in all directions. A flock of crows gathered not far from him again, and changed back to Uchiha Itachi after a while, looking at him ironically, as if he acted like a clown just now. Seeing Uchiha Itachi's appearance, Jack's face was as black as the bottom of a pot, and he yelled directly, "What's the matter with your D's ability?" Uchiha Itachi did not answer his question, but kindly reminded, "Don't think about my ability, the flames on your body have already spread to your whole body, you are about to die." Jack reacted belatedly, but when he wanted to extinguish the red flames on his body, he found that these flames could not be extinguished no matter what. What ghost flame is this? Jack rolled on the ground in pain, shouting as he rolled, but no matter how he rolled, the flame on his body showed no sign of going out, instead the flame grew bigger and bigger. What? Squeak. Hey! Jack's screams became smaller and smaller, and gradually disappeared, only the sound of flames burning. Uchiha Itachi saw that Jack was no longer breathing, so he didn't continue to stay here, turned around and walked towards the forest. Jack the Drow, one of the 3 major signboards in Beast's Pirates, was killed by this monster. Are we still going into the forest to fight? There is such a monster inside, shall we go in and die? Then what shall we do now? How the hell do I know what to do? These pirates who are still wandering outside are now in a dilemma. If they run away directly, they will definitely be killed by Big Mom. If they go into the forest to participate in the battle, they probably won't survive. The Flame Calamity Ember, one of the 3 major signboards over there, is also at a disadvantage. Why are there so many monsters in the Wanjian pirates? It's not just outside here, I think the war in the forest is not ideal either. Jin and Chitong are still fighting in full swing. Jingle, bang bang, bang. The two collided again and again, separated again and then collided again and again. There was no one within 100 meters of the two of them, and no one dared to approach the battlefield between the two, otherwise they would not die. No. Bump. The two collided again and exploded together, and were directly chopped and flew upside down for dozens of meters before they stabilized their figures. Jin looked at Chitong with a gloomy expression. He wanted to save Jack just now, but was stopped by Chitong. Then he could only watch Jack being killed by Uchiha Itachi, and there was nothing he could do, because he couldn't break through Akahito's line of defense at all. Now he already knows that these few characters that he can't figure out are stronger than him, so he is planning to run away now, because if the fight continues, even he may be left here. Kai Tong, who was walking towards Jin step by step, suddenly had a red light flashing in her eyes, and then immediately accelerated her pace. The speed was getting faster and faster. If you look at it from a distance, it's like seeing a flash of lightning passing by. Jin looked dazed when he saw Chitong, who suddenly quickened his pace, but he didn't delay any longer, and directly flapped his wings and soared into the sky. Boom. When he shot up to the sky, Kai Tong also shot up to the sky, like a flash of lightning, quickly caught up with Jin, and swiped past him. Wow. The two passed each other in the air once. Jin's saber was already put away just now when he was about to run away. At this time the saber was only half drawn and then froze in the air, while Kai Tong was slowly putting the saber back into the scabbard. Clang. Immediately afterwards, the two fell at the same time. Chitong landed normally, while Jin fell sideways, one wing separated directly from him, and a cloud of blood mist exploded on his chest. Pada. Boom. Kai Tong landed steadily on the ground, while Jin directly hit the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. After the dust dissipated slowly, Jin, who was lying in the big pit Millie's, had a wound on his chest with deep bone visible, and his left wing flew away. Cough cough. Jin struggled to get up while coughing blood, and when he got up, he looked at Kai Tong with a gloomy expression and asked, "How did you know I was going to run away?" He had already discovered just now that a few seconds before he flew into the sky, Chitong suddenly quickened his pace without warning, otherwise it would be impossible for her to catch up with him. Kai Tong didn't hide it either, because the person in front of him was already a dead person, so he explained directly, "My observation Hawkeye can see the short future, so when you haven't started running, I have already found you up." That's right, after Chitong's observation Hawkeye reaches the limit, it is not as vast as Moran, but foresees the future like Kaji. Chapter 299. The 3 major boards of beasts are all dead, and the battle on the uninhabited island is over. After hearing Chitong's explanation, Jin also showed an expression of enlightenment. He often deals with BIGMOM pirates, and of course he knows Kaji's observation Hawkeye, who foresees the future. He just didn't think about it just now. Jin looked at Chitong with a little surprise and said with emotion, "I didn't expect your observation Hawkeye to be able to predict the future." Then he asked again, "Could you tell me how many strong men like you are still in your Wanjian pirates? Let me know." Chitong thought about it for a while, and Moran didn't seem to have said that he couldn't speak out, so he said directly, "There are about 7 or 8 people like me, and their strengths are similar. There are still 4 or 5 in the forest. It is estimated that the people you brought are about the same. Let's all die." Jin learned that there were 4 or 5 such monsters in the forest, so he no longer had illusions. His wings were cut off by Chitong and he couldn't fly, so he had no way to escape from Chitong's grasp. Originally, he wanted to struggle to the death, procrastinating for time to wait for others to save him, but now the people who come here are probably mud bodhisattvas. Zhong himself is hard to protect, who will come to save him. Thinking of Jin here, he pulled out the knife at his waist again, and said to Kai Tong, "Don't gossip, let's make a break." Kai Tong also pulled out her own knife again and said, "This war should be over, let me give you a ride." After the two finished speaking, they rushed towards each other quickly, and the speed became faster and faster, like 2 lightning flashes. Clang. The two did not collide with each other, but passed directly by each other, standing still a few meters apart. Kai Tong put the knife back into its sheath again, without even looking behind her, she walked directly towards the forest very confidently. Click. Jin was still maintaining the posture of pulling out the knife, when his knife suddenly broke in the middle and fell to the ground, followed by a round object also fell to the ground. Boom. Immediately afterwards, Jin's body also fell down straight, and Jin kicked up a cloud of dust on the ground. One of the 3 signboards of Beast's pirates, the Flame Calamity Ember, was also killed. What should we do? Are these members of the 10,000 Swords pirates all monsters? The 3 major boards of the 100 beasts are falling one after another. We are going to lose this war. FK their war. Whoever wants to go. Anyway, Lousy will leave now. At worst, he will hide in the world for the rest of his life. Even the eldest sister can't control it. It doesn't matter. Run away quickly, if you can live for a day, so what if you are found? It's better than dying now, right? The pirates who were still on the outskirts, after some people took the lead in escaping, the others followed suit and ran towards the coast together. In the forest at this time, the war was coming to an end, and the pirates who chased in just now were gone, and there were bodies everywhere. As for the other 3 major billboards of Beast's pirates, Plague Kui was already in a mess of ruins, surrounded by gravel and blood, motionless, obviously out of breath. The masters of the BIGMOM pirates, as well as the leader of the Long Bread, have all fallen at this time, and only some weak pirates are still standing. Look at my invincible meow meow fist. Blue Bonnie's fighting style was still like a bulldozer as before, waving a pair of pink and tender little fists, rampaging through the crowd. Hey, hey, bang bang bang. A pair of fists waved like Hot Wheels, and the enemies she touched were all sent flying backwards. Ha 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 hiccup. Blue Bonnie's fighting style successfully made all the members of the Wanjian pirates laugh. At this time, several combat members had finished the battle, standing in 4 directions, surrounded the enemy, and the purpose was to let them play with these delicious and fun-loving ship members. As soon as Chitong walked into the forest, he saw Lan Bonnie killing all directions, and immediately reminded him a little dumbfounded. Bonnie, take it easy, don't hurt yourself. Hey, hey, bang bang bang. Blue Bonnie didn't seem to hear Kai Tong's words, she was still rushing forward, no matter who she met, she would be sent flying. The pirates surrounded by the combat members, as long as they want to escape, are all thrown back by the combat members. They have tried countless times, but none of them can rush out, and they are all thrown back. Asking for flowers. A pirate said with a face full of despair. The combat members of the Wanjian pirates want to use us as training companions for these people. The bastards of the Wanjian pirates simply don't treat us as human beings. If you have time to complain here, why not think about how to escape? Maybe we can escape. Are you G blind? The people who fought with the other 2 Beasts pirates boards just now have returned, doesn't that explain the problem? It is estimated that the 2 big billboards are dead, tell me where we can go. When the surrounding pirates heard the pirates' continuous roar, they all lowered their heads in despair. When they saw Uchiha Itachi and Chitong coming back, they all had a result in their hearts, but they just didn't want to believe it. An hour later, the forest finally quieted down, all the pirates who invaded had fallen, and the members of the Wanjian pirates were unscathed. Those who didn't know thought that they came here for vacation, not to fight. Seeing that the battle was over, Chitong looked at the crowd worriedly and asked, the battle here is over, but Lord Moran doesn't know what's going on. Shall we help Lord Moran? After hearing this, Arturia thought for a while and suggested, we can't see anything here, let's get close to their battlefield to see how the battle is going, and then make a decision. Agreed, agreed. Others also agreed to Arturia's proposal, and then everyone walked to the coast, where their boat was parked. When Arturia walked halfway, she looked at Fubuki and said, you are the only one who can fly here, Fubuki, if something goes wrong later, no matter how much you do, just shoot. Fushui. I know, Fubuki is the only one who can fly in Wanjian pirates here, while Moran's battlefield is in the air, so only Fuyuki can help. For a strong person, the effect of slashing is not great. Chapter 300. Other members of Wanjian pirates arrive at the 5 Emperors battlefield. Boom boom boom. The battle near the uninhabited island was not over yet. Even the citizens of de Ries Rosa who were tens of thousands of meters away could hear the roar of the collision, and the sky was full of lightning and thunder. Rebecca saw the sky covered with dark clouds, lightning and thunder in the distance, and asked Cyrus, who was a little worried. Father, you have been fighting for so long, is the big brother really okay? From the beginning of the battle to the present, the sky near de Ries Rosa has been covered with dark clouds, lightning and thunder. Rebecca, Cyrus and the others have been watching the battle at the port. Although the battlefield is too far away, they can't see anything, but they don't see any battle passing by, they just want to know whether the battle is over. Because they all know that this war is related to the fate of de Ries Rosa, so they all attach great importance to the results of the battle. Everyone is happy if they win, but if they lose, de Ries Rosa will fall into the hands of Big Mom Kaido, and none of them can predict what will happen on 21. When Cyrus thought that his opponents were the 5 Emperors of New World, and the Wanjian pirates were only at the same level as them. At the beginning, he still had confidence in the Wanjian pirates, but after fighting for so long, he has not yet decided the winner, and now he has no idea what the outcome will be. Although Cyrus didn't hold much hope in his heart, seeing Rebecca's worried face, he said calmly, Rebecca, don't worry, Lord Moran and the combat members of the 10,000 Swords pirates are so powerful, it's okay, don't worry. Although Rebecca was still full of worry, she didn't continue to ask, but looked at the distant sky helplessly, like a little daughter-in-law waiting for her husband to return. Seeing Rebecca like this, Cyrus felt sour in his heart, but he didn't care, it was her freedom to like whoever she liked. And living in the chaotic waters of New World, it's not a bad thing for her to find someone who can protect her. Boom boom boom. Big Mom and Moran are still colliding. Although the two are exhausted and out of breath, their combat effectiveness has not decreased at all. What was the beginning of the battle is still what it is now. Jingle. Bing 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 bing. Moran was competing with his aunt in the sky with swordsmanship. The swords in their hands could only be seen as afterimages. A storm of sword blades formed around them. From time to time, a slash or sword energy leaked out, splitting the dark clouds in the sky, or split the sea below in two. Crackling. Crackling. Ka 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 cha. Every time the two collide in the air, black lightning bolts are produced, and the black lightning dances in the sky like the end of the world. Bump. Boom. Rumble. The two of them collided fiercely again, and then both of them were sent flying backwards by the recoil generated by the explosion. The two of them flew upside down tens of meters away before stabilizing their bodies. Big Mom flew out in the direction where the Wanjian pirate's ship was approaching. After Chitong and the others went out to sea, they rushed towards Kowloon without stopping. Big Mom just stabilized her figure, and wanted to rush to fight Moran again for 300 rounds, but her eyes glanced behind her inadvertently, and she saw the Wanjian pirate's ship slowly approaching. The moment the ant saw the Wanjian pirates, her face immediately darkened. The Wanjian pirate's ship appeared here, but her sons and Kaido's subordinates were all missing. Let her think badly. The ant's worry is indeed right, her sons and Kaido's men have turned into cold corpses at this time. But Auntie and Kaido don't know these things yet, it's hard to say whether they will still know in this life. After all, if they want to know about this, they have to be able to leave here. After thinking for a while with a gloomy face, the ant asked the Wanjian pirate's ship, "Why do you members of the Wanjian pirates appear here? Where are my mother's sons?" The members of Wanjian pirates could appear here, but her sons did not. There are only two possibilities for this situation. One is that her sons have all run away, and the other is that they are all dead. She doesn't need to think about the results of these two possibilities, it's just that she doesn't want to believe it. Clang. Arturia put the big sword on the deck, put both hands on the big sword, looked up at the big mother very haughty and said, "I don't know who your son is, but the wine bag and rice bag behind us have been killed by us. It's been cleaned up." When the ant heard Arturia's words, she instantly became furious, and shouted, "You bastards, dare to kill my sons, then you should all be buried with my sons." After the ant finished speaking, she swooped down from the sky, aimed directly at the ship of the Wanjian pirates, raised the big sword in her hand high, and before the person arrived, the 10-sword wolf slashed down. In an instant, a huge sword energy of tens of meters appeared, and it directly slashed towards the direction of the Wanjian pirates. Arturia saw the sword aura that was falling rapidly, and swung the big sword directly, and raised 437 from bottom to top. A golden sword aura of tens of meters quickly met the sword aura in the sky. Bump. Boom. Rumbling. After the two sword chi stalemate in the air for a while, they exploded, and the airwaves generated by the explosion spread in all directions. Arturia saw that although the sword chi had been resolved, the ant was still diving down. If she was allowed to approach the ship could 100% declare retirement. Thinking of Arturia who was here, she looked at Fubuki and said, "Fubushue will be handed over to you, don't let her get close to our boat, or she will destroy the boat." Fubuki. "I know." After Chushue agreed, a gust of wind suddenly blew up around her without any warning, and immediately after that, her body also began to levitate, and then directly soared into the sky, rushing straight towards the direction of the ant. Well, when the ant saw Fubuki rushing up, she let out a unique laugh, and then her face darkened again, and she asked in a deep voice, "Little girl, are you here to die?" Chushue asked blankly, "Are you here to die? Wouldn't you know if you came and tried it?"